that much.
Unfortunately, that's the problem with age. You might like modern music, you just can't remember the names
No,
of the
can't
songs.
remember, and they don't stand out. Yeah, but there's a tune out there now. It's what's top 10 anyway, but
Good stuff. All right. Anyway, so
I think a mix of everything.
Yeah, but could you go and do a gig now in a nightclub again like you used to?
I could do a good party.
Yeah, I know you do that.
I wouldn't be bothered with the club scene, dancing tracks. I could never. I was like clippity clop. You know, when they're mixing it up, and I was giddy up horsey. No, but say party, entertaining people.
No,
and
I know
have the
that
crack.
because you can dig into the 80s,
You can do
the
the
70s,
tunes
the
and
90s and all that.
the modern
yeah.
stuff
Which,
as well.
I mean, the amount of young people that their go-to music is either
You could do a
modern
good party
country
as
or-
well. Do you know what
possibly.
we could do? Me and you could do a good party night together. Imagine. You're a bit hesitant. Why do you think I give you more money?
Because it
Extra
sounds like
€10?
sounds like it could be a commitment that something's going to happen.
Well, sure. What about it?
What party night?
Well, should we set up a good party night?
It'd have to be massive, like.
Well, how massive do you
like-
want? 10 people?
No, it'd have to
Free
be
pizza?
For me to get involved. It'd have to be like the size of the room the Highland concert's in.
Ah,
Massive
come on.
party.
We're going to need 2 speakers. Food
Do it
for
for
thought.
charity.
Yeah, we
All
could.
right, then,
All right,
Gooch,
good luck.
like it. All right, take care of yourself. That's Lee Gooch back with you tomorrow morning, as always, at 6:30. It is 9 o'clock now, though, and we've a very busy 9 till noon show to get underway after we get the important news headlines now from Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Another spending controversy has arisen within government. It's emerged over €120,000 was spent on a scanner for the National Gallery, which has never been used. It's been lying idle since 2017 as it doesn't fit in any room. Taoiseach Simon Harris says it's a disgrace.
I think my reaction to this is the same as the reaction that every person will have right across this country, which is one of absolute fury. It's really important that the government is briefed by the Minister on this matter today. I thank him for bringing it to our attention. And then it's really important that the people who are paid to run these institutions come out and talk to the Irish people in relation to these issues. You know, government provides money to state agencies and they do very good work, but they're also accountable for the spend of that money.
Donegal County Council is being urged to investigate the potential of using 3D printed homes to address the housing crisis in Donegal. Councillor Joy Beer told a special housing meeting that what seemed like science fiction a few years ago is now a potential way forward. She's asking officials to begin a research initiative, including liaising with Louth County Council, which has begun using the technology. She says with Donegal facing what is in effect a double crisis, imaginative answers are needed.
We do have 2 crises here and they don't gel. We have the housing crisis that we're experiencing throughout the whole country, and then we have our defective blocks crisis here. So we need quick ways to get people into safe homes again. This is the latest technology and I think we can't ignore it. We could be the innovators in this and move forward with this, and it can only be a good thing to research it and look into it. So that's what I'm asking the council to do.
32,000 birds are being culled following another suspected case of bird flu in County Tyrone. It means more than 110,000 birds will have been culled in Northern Ireland due to bird flu in just over 10 days. The latest case under investigation is at a commercial poultry farm near Cookstown. Almost 500 homes on Armore Island will soon have access to fibre broadband. The National Broadband Plan is being rolled out on the island with connections set to go live in the autumn. €128 million is being invested in Donegal under the National Broadband Plan, which will see high-speed connections delivered to 34,000 premises. Works have already been completed in parts of the county. 2 men have been arrested in Derry and illegal drugs seized. At around 5 o'clock last evening, a white BMW was observed being driven dangerously in the Glen Road area of the city. It was subsequently stopped and officers discovered a quantity of drugs. The 2 men remain in custody, assisting police with their inquiries. Police are appealing to anyone who witnessed the vehicle or who has dashcam footage to contact them. Finally, for weather, bright and breezy today with a mix of sunny spells and showers. Some of the showers turning heavy with the chance of hail. Highest temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Hey, looking for car insurance that's simple, fast and comes with a little extra? That's RedClick. Until the end of March, when you quote and buy online, we'll give you a €40 retail voucher to treat yourself to something special. For insurance that's easy, insurance that's quick. Visit redclick.ie. €40 voucher offer is valid for new private car policies purchased from 1st January to 31st March. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Generali Seguros y Reyes Seguros SAU. Trading as RedClick and Generali is authorised by the General Directorate of Insurance and Pension Funds in Spain and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. A very good Tuesday morning. It's the 25th of February 2025. You're very welcome along to another 9 till Noon Show here on your number one local radio station, the number one local radio station in the country, in fact, Highland Radio, and it's thanks to you and it's great to have you on board. Loads coming up on the show as always. You know that, don't you? That's why you tune in. Just after 10 o'clock, we've got the latest appeals and information from Garda Síochána, where you'll hear those appeals first here live on the 9 till Noon Show. Loads more, including a little bit later on. We're going to be talking about pirate radio. There's a documentary being put together here at Highland Radio about pirate radio and the history of pirate radio. You know, we've been here for 35 years now, of course, but there were those that were here before us. Many of them ended up working here, of course, and I'm thinking of the likes of, I'd be more familiar with the likes of Glencoe Radio, KTOK. In fact, it's Russ Padmore who's behind KTOK, I believe, who will be on with us later on. But there were lots of stations right across the county. I just happened to be in the south of the county, and those are the ones that I was exposed to. But anyway, if you have any memories of pirate radio, feel free to send them in to us. Or in fact, if you just enjoyed listening to pirate radio, you'll enjoy that conversation, I'm sure. And how do you get in touch? Well, you WhatsApp or text us on 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. You can send WhatsApp voice notes too, if that suits you better to communicate. You can give us a call on 07491 25,000 or email comments at highlandradio.com. Right, the papers today, starting with the Irish Daily Mail. And this is something actually I mentioned on the show last week or the week before. A lot of people sort of, are concerned about foreign money coming into Ireland. And I was making the point that that foreign money coming into Ireland for housing is imperative. It has to happen. We simply can't build the houses ourselves with the funds we have, or at least with the current plans that we have. And it's interesting that just a couple of weeks later, completely unrelated, but just interesting to see it covered in the papers. The Irish Daily Mail this morning, foreign investment in apartment building has plummeted, sparking fresh fears in government that housing completions will not improve this year. The latest data provided to Finance Minister Paschal Donohoe shows planning permissions for apartment buildings plunged by a third in the first 3 quarters of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023. The drop has caused alarm in government as applications are viewed as a barometer of the level of foreign investment in the property market. In a housing update for Mr Donohoe earlier this month, finance officials warned that the drop in investment is now resulting in fewer new homes being delivered, which will make it very difficult for the government to meet its targets. And of course, you know, every action has a reaction. And there is a school of thought out there that the likes of the sort of blanket, and much of this doesn't affect us directly here in Donegal, though everything does. The rent freeze, the blanket rent freeze, you know, investors, and they could be, you know, wealth funds or pension funds, whatever it might be, they see the rent caps, and it's a blunt enough tool. Some people would like the rent caps lifted with new developments or for new tenants, right? But that's not the case. So investors are going, right, am I going to pump millions into the Irish economy to build houses if my return will be such and such? Now, maybe we need to ease our reliance on foreign investment and come up with internal solutions to it. One cabinet minister told the Mail investments had fallen off, and then I go to page 6, and that there now needs to be a frank and honest conversation with the public about what is actually achievable in housing this year. Again, that's apartments, which is going to be in the more urban areas. I don't think we have plans for thousands of apartments in this county, but anyway. I'm going to have to go back to Trump and Ukraine and all that kind of stuff again, because it dominates all of the papers today, and it is the big international story. That does affect all of us. There's just no doubt about that. We'll start with the Irish Independent, and US President Donald Trump said he's hopeful Russia's war in Ukraine is nearing an end game as he met with French President Emmanuel Macron yesterday on the 3rd anniversary of the invasion. Mr. Trump, in broad-ranging comments on the state of the conflict, said he believed Russian President Vladimir Putin would accept European peacekeepers in Ukraine to keep the peace. He also expressed hope that the conflict could end within weeks and that Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky would soon come to the US to sign a deal to give the US access to Ukraine's critical minerals. And I'm not sure if it's reported in this piece, as I didn't read the entire article, but what's changed somewhat as well is you've got Emmanuel Macron speaking on behalf of Europe in inverted commas, and he's also of the view that a deal can be struck very shortly as well. I mean, obviously you want the best for all parties, but something that stops the bloodshed and the threat of this spreading. The sooner that happens for us and our children, the better, I think. Mr. Trump believes the minerals deal will help repay some of the 180 billion euro in America in American aid that has been sent to Kyiv since the start of the war. It looks like we're getting very close, Mr. Trump told reporters at the start of his bilateral meeting with Mr. Macron. He added that Mr. Zelensky could visit Washington this week to sign the deal. Earlier yesterday, Mr. Trump and Mr. Macron participated in a virtual meeting with fellow group of 7 leaders to discuss the war. So it does seem to be, especially now with Macron's comments, that we could be finally edging towards an end to the situation over there. And in a not unrelated story in the Irish Times, there's been an increase in reports of uncertainty and anxiety among Ukrainians living in Ireland as the government is expected to make a decision on the continuation of payments to accommodation hosts. The Irish Red Cross has said, we talked about this as well a couple of weeks ago, the humanitarian charity said there's been a significant rise in calls from concerned individuals since late last year. The accommodation recognition payment is a tax-free payment of €800 for those providing accommodation to Ukrainians who arrive in the Republic under the EU Temporary Protection Directive. The scheme is due to expire on March 31st. Though, that being said, if the mood music is to be pan out, it's possible that there could at least be a ceasefire in Ukraine by the time that scheme is due to expire. The government's expected to extend the scheme, with consideration being given to a €200 reduction in the monthly rate. A decision is most likely to be announced towards the end of this week, according to a source, with meetings taking place between the Department of Integration and the Department of Justice. They might be actually just watching world events and wondering, shall we hold off to see how things transpire? I presume if a ceasefire is agreed in Ukraine, there are many Ukrainians that may wish to go home, and those that wish to stay, I suppose, there would be an expectation, I think, amongst the general public that they would compete on a level playing field in the rental market, because the reality is, and this is not anti-Ukraine or anti the measure, the reality is that €800 tax-free with possibly a cash top-up, let's not pretend it doesn't happen, for a cash top-up as well for a landlord is much more advantageous than renting to an Irish person, for an example, and having to pay all the tax and what have you. On to the Irish Daily Mirror, and just the last story as it relates to Ukraine, because it's a commitment from Micheál Martin as it relates to your tax money. So I think it's important you should know that Ireland will increase financial contributions towards Ukraine, the Taoiseach has said on your behalf. Micheál Martin gave the commitment to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky during a meeting of Ukraine's allies in Kyiv. The meeting is being held on the 3rd anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and addressing the Support Ukraine summit via video link from Dublin, Martin said Ukraine's defence of its sovereignty is so important for small nations across the world and the protection of the rules-based international order. Ireland has welcomed 100,000 Ukrainians under the EU Temporary Protection Directive. Meanwhile, Taoiseach Simon Harris said it would be irresponsible of the country to rule out sending peacekeepers to Ukraine in the future. And it looks like the French and the British are keen to send in some peacekeepers there, and Ireland potentially is on the table in relation to that. But Micheál Martin not only sending our old radar, which I'm sure is actually just scrap, also committing to send more money. We've been talking, and I think we'll be talking about it again this week because there's a significant meeting coming up. There are parents who learned towards the end of last week that there is no place for their children in special schools. And if you heard that, you would hear the devastation and the heartbreak. It's not unique to Donegal, though. And as I say, though, we will be talking about this again a little bit later in the week. But just pulling this from the pages of the Irish Sun, a devastated mum who can't find a place in a special school for her son has told how the state is playing euro millions with her child's education. New Education Minister Helen McEntee last week pledged she will make sure every child needing special education will have a school place come September. However, parents across Ireland are still struggling to find places in special schools that can cater for their children. 5-year-old Jay Meehan, who is autistic, is one of 20 children left without a place at their local special school, St John's in Dungarvan, County Waterford, and they did a lottery effectively. They put the names into the hat and 9 were drawn and 20 were left behind. We know of similar cases, not lotto cases where draws have been made like that, but we know obviously of many families still affected by the uncertainty of not having a place for their child come September. Helen McEntee's committed to find a place for everyone, but it has to be suitable as well. It can't just be, right, we offered you something. But anyway, we'll be covering that in the days, weeks ahead. Finally, the latest update on Pope Francis comes from the Irish Daily Star this morning. Pope Francis showed slight improvements yesterday after the night went well, the Vatican said. It was the 88-year-old. It said the 88-year-old is being treated in hospital for double pneumonia and chronic bronchitis, but was in good spirits and resumed some work. A statement said in the evening he called the parish priest of the Gaza parish to express his fatherly closeness. The Vatican said a slight kidney problem found on Sunday was of no concern, and the pontiff is continuing to receive supplemental oxygen. He lost part of a lung, as you would know, due to pleurisy as a young man. He also had an acute case of pneumonia in 23. Yesterday was his 10th day in hospital, so we'll watch on. But still, whilst that might seem optimistic, and people are perfectly entitled to be optimistic, of course, they are still reserving judgment on his prognosis beyond that. Okay, that was a run through some of the stories making the papers today. We're going to be making our own headlines very shortly.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford. Bargain Homewares, Lower Main Street, Letterkenny. Closing down sale. Everything must go. Huge discounts on all remaining stock. Don't miss out. Grab incredible deals before they're gone at Bargain Homewares, Lower Main Street, Letterkenny.
At My Home, we hate complicated. That's why our new app now offers a great range of features like our enhanced map search, access to My Home Eco Rating, as well as our all-important property email alerts, which means you have everything you need to find your new home right in the palm of your hand. Download the new My Home app today.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Are you looking for a university that's more than just a place to study?
At ATU, you'll enjoy a vibrant student life, exciting career opportunities and a supportive community every step of the way.
Join ATU's Open Day on the Letterkenny campus on Saturday the 1st of March from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Get expert tips for Leaving Certificate students from Donegal Mahoney, along with special talks for parents and sessions on health and wellbeing.
Come along and see how you can be part of it all. Visit atu.ie/opendays.
ATU, your future is here.
Restex Beds, celebrating 50 incredible years of helping you dream better, sleep deeper and wake up refreshed. For half a century, we've been your trusted partner in comfort and innovation. And now, introducing the new Glenveigh mattress, designed with cutting-edge technology for ultimate support and luxurious comfort. It's the perfect way to celebrate our golden anniversary with the best sleep of your life. Visit Restex Beds today and experience 50 years of excellence. Restex Beds. Leave the rest to us.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It's 18 minutes past 9. Jared McCormick is chairperson of Letterkenny Tidy Towns. He joins me now. Hi, Jared.
Morning, guys. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And over the course of this conversation, I want to focus on the positives and the great advances and efforts there are in keeping Letterkenny tidy. But unfortunately, we can't ignore when there are clear gaps in, I suppose, public responsibility to keeping their own community in good shape. This is in relation to litter in Ballymacool, Jared. What's been observed? And for those watching, you'll be able to see the images, but for the majority on radio, just tell us what that was discovered.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Greg. I've only become aware of it this morning. I was away for a long weekend, so I only got the detail of it this morning. So I would like to thank the person who sent the information in, because sometimes we're not aware of everything of that happens in the town. The town is really so big that some parts of the town we may not know what's happening, so we do appreciate the information that we got from the public. It's really not ideal in any way, especially when you put into the thinking of all the really good work that the huge squad of volunteers who go around the town and try and keep the town in good shape. And because really, generally, for the size of Letterkenny, we do have litter, but we don't have massive problems of litter, and that's really due to there's a very, very large litter program. I was going to say campaign, but program's a better word, I think, that involves, really from Tidy Towns into our volunteers, into our community employment scheme to Glenard Plant and the council, what the council do. But, realistically, we still have this problem. This is all going on, but this is identified and we have to really recognise it, and we just have to own it, I suppose, and try and deal with it. So we plan really to discuss with the council. At this stage, I haven't really figured out what access there is to the premises, and is it on private? Does it belong to the council? Is it private? Or there is a couple of different answers that we will need to figure out first before we can work out how to solve it.
Yeah, it appears to me that it's become a little bit of a hotspot for those in the know, and it's not necessarily in the glaring public eye. So it's very understandable that the committee may not have come across this before. But as I say, the public are the eyes, and it's been identified now. And it has to be established whether it's a public or private problem. Is that really where we're at, Jared?
Well, I think that's a starting point of it. We really have to, sometimes the council would get a certain amount of flack, within the county. But, we work with the environmental team of the council very, very well. And we have a lot of volunteers who come and work with us. And, we have a litter warden team there, really led by Brendan McBride. And they're super, like they really are. There's a program in place, there's a system in place, and as I say, literally, this is only coming to my attention this morning. We have to ask a lot of questions about what type of litter is it? How is it accessed? Is the site accessible? Can it be made not accessible? But they're really questions that have to be figured out. But I think really, with the sort of system we have in our town, I'm hopeful that we'll get this sorted. I hope so anyway.
And I think there is there's sort of elements of this building in Ballymacool. I think that people, by the looks of the litter, people are gathering in. Maybe to socialise.
Yeah,
okay.
That's my gut looking at the pictures. All right, yeah. So
Indeed,
I think it might be just take a little bit of time to figure out. There's one thing going in to get it cleaned up. There's another thing really getting the problem solved long term. So that is something that's just probably going to have a
ironically,
bit of work with it,
Jared, you say you and the team do amazing work, and I think most people agree with you. But when you strive for perfection, which I'm sure you and the rest of the committee and volunteers do, in a way, some of the stuff that, say, for instance, Letterkenny's marked down on is out of your control, isn't it? In terms of general cleanliness, Letterkenny's doing really quite well, but sometimes the gaps are stuff that maybe visiting judges spot that really is outside of the committee's control?
Do you know, generally our results when you read our adjudication report every year, to be honest, Greg, it's fair. You know, we rarely get one that we scratch our head about. Sometimes we do. We kind of scratch our head and we can't really work the comment out or whatever. But by and large, it's generally very fair. And you know, for a town our size, we're pretty good litter-wise. You know, I think
agree. Yeah, that's
we'd have other problems. Yeah, other problems we'd have bigger problems, to be honest with you. We'd be more, you know, the tidiness of the town, like, and how the town appears, you know, with regards, not litter strewn, but just how, you know, derelict buildings and trying to keep things painted and tidy.
And signage and what have you. And this is this is what I was saying about stuff outside your control.
Yeah, well, we constantly are talk to the maybe ad nauseum to the council sometimes, just to try and get these problems solved. But they're not, you know, they're not easy problems. But we also just have to keep working at them, because that's the only way you're going to get anything solved, is keep working at them.
Well, keep up the great work.
That's probably our
Jared,
biggest problem, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I have nothing but admiration for those that are out often at the crack of dawn or in their own time when other people are maybe sitting watching TV or doing something else. You're out doing fantastic work, keeping our communities clean. Jared, thanks very much for your time.
Okay, Greg. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
Jared McCormick, Chair of Letterkenny Tidy Towns. That's in relation to some littering in Ballymacool. It has to be investigated. Is it public property? Is it private property? Is it a drinking spot? And lots of stuff that perhaps is beyond their control at this point. And it's off the back of a message we received saying, "Hi Greg, I was recently on a walk in Ballymacool and the kids wanted to explore Ballymacool House. There was rubbish everywhere. I was appalled. Something needs to be done about this. I'm not sure how to fix this problem. Maybe cameras? What do others think?" It's on our socials if you want to see the pic. I don't want to over-amplify it either, but we get to the bottom of the problems by casting a light on them, don't we? We were talking about... Sorry, I'll just stick with rubbish for a sec. I think the wider problem is there's literally nothing for teenagers to do, so this is likely where they hang out. I get where you're coming from, but I mean, you try and go to a rural area and there really is nothing for teenagers to do. You know, there's skate parks and football pitches and basketball courts and cinemas, and I know that there's a cost associated with some of that, but there's lots to do around Letterkenny. There's the youth clubs that are there, drop-in centres. You can go in and play PlayStations in the evenings and all manner of stuff. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying Letterkenny has a lot compared to where I was raised, for an example. I wonder, with the dereliction budget and the proximity to the park, if it's got turned into an education centre for the school's history classes, drawing big enough room for a tea. This is a major historic problem. The absolute lowlives that do this to their community, that's okay, someone else will clean it up, could be the attitude. Thank God for all the volunteers that work around the country for Tidy Towns, and others reacting to that as well. We were talking too about... Protestants against the Gaelic language yesterday, and in fairness, you know, even the title is kind of offensive, and I think particularly to Protestants. But anyway, we had a decent conversation, and I am of the view that it's best to bring these things out to the fore and chat in public rather than, you know, on a Telegram group or on X. A caller says the claim that English is the language of Ireland overlooks several key historical facts. Thanks for this. The Irish language was the primary language spoken across Ireland for over 1,500 years before the expansion of English. The dominance of English in Ireland was not a natural evolution, but rather the result of deliberate policies by the British administration, including the Statutes of Kilkenny, 1366, which banned the use of Irish among English settlers, the outlawing of the Irish language education under the penal law, the devastation of Irish-speaking communities during the Great Famine, the requirement to use... and there's the Great Famine as well too. We could have another conversation about the Great Famine, which was effectively the starvation of people, and the requirement to use English in courts, governments and schools. Protestant figures actually played significant roles in preserving and promoting the Irish language. Douglas Hyde, a Protestant from Roscommon, helped found the Gaelic League and became Ireland's first president. The Presbyterian Church published religious materials in Ireland. The Irish language transcends religious divisions. It belongs to all Irish people, regardless of faith. Thank you very much for that, Eamon. Very complete. Greg, it looks now like Ireland are begging for an invitation to Washington for St. Patrick's Day. If he is invited, Micheál Martin should take a stand and not go. Donald Trump doesn't give a poo about a bowl of shamrocks, so not going would be a bigger statement than going. It won't do any damage to Irish-American relations, which have been going on long before Donald and will be long after Donald. We never hear much from the Irish diaspora in the USA about what they think about Trump, but I'm sure they're not all big fans of his. Well, maybe not. You see, the problem is in this way, when you speak publicly and openly, especially on behalf of an entire nation, you know, we are small fry, and the likes of Macron and the new German leader, or the new soon-to-be German leader, they are the people that make the decisions. Like Macron sitting there shaking hands, laughing with Donald Trump, saying, yeah, you know, we could have a peace deal within 2 or 3 weeks, and what Donald's saying is to some extent true, and blah, 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 blah. And there we are, sort of going, you know, Trump bad, blah, you know, he's in Egypt, or using whatever words Simon Harris used against him. It's not very diplomatic. It's actually kind of naive, to be honest, with some of the stances some might feel that have been taken, because at the end of the day, we will follow, as we always do, what the French or the Germans decide. A caller says, I'm sick of Micheál Martin's snide remarks. There is history of two sides in Northern Ireland, yet he doesn't talk about this. He is not scoring much with me. What happened to the Republican Party of Fianna Fáil? I'm no longer a Fianna Fáil supporter because of this. I think that's some commentary Micheál Martin made in relation to a recent death in the Republican community. Regarding Ireland supporting Ukraine, last week it was announced that we were given €50 million to Ukraine. This is not a representation of Ireland. We can't even look after our own. My wife gets carer's allowance and I'm on job seekers. Apparently we don't qualify for fuel allowance. I now have to apply for it instead of my wife, as she was denied. The paperwork to get anything in this country is so difficult. And last, before a quick break here, I don't think Trump was going to invite Sinn Féin to the White House, so Mary Lou got in first, claiming it as a stance. Well, they have gone in the past, or whether they're on the sidelines or what have you. The deputy leader of Stormont is going, so there must have been some sort of an invite or arrangement there, because she's taken up that position.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
This is an important message for all drivers. From March 31st, the law is changing. When you renew or take out motor insurance, you'll need to provide your driver number. It's on your driving licence, listed under point 4D, so make sure you have it to hand. Without your driver number, you won't get insured. Double check that you have your licence, and if you can't find it, take steps to have a valid licence in time for your insurance renewal date. This message is brought to you by Insurance Ireland and the Motor Insurers Bureau of Ireland in support of a Government of Ireland initiative.
This offer is too good to last in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Switch Broadband now and get €100 off your bill. Our Wi-Fi guarantee included for free with our fastest broadband speeds and no activation fee. That's uninterrupted Wi-Fi, guaranteed everywhere in your home. Now available only at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. New customers only. Offer applies to 1 gig and 2 gig broadband. The Wi-Fi guarantee is included free. €100 bill credit applied to customers' accounts on April 1st, 2025. Offer ends February 28th, 2025.
Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware are 27 years old, and to celebrate, we're offering up to 70% off everything in store. That's right, a massive birthday sale with up to 70% off all tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Everything's in stock. Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware, up to 70% off birthday sale now on.
The Nutria's Milk Replacer range, which includes NutriStart and NutriStart Plus, offers the best start for your calves this spring season with 23% and 25% crude proteins, ideal for calf to beef and heifer rearing systems. Give your calves the best possible start. Available at your local Homeland store or online at homeland.ie. Visit nutrius.ie for full nutritional information.
Log on to Revenue's My Account to claim any tax credits you're entitled to, and tell us about any extra income you have earned outside the PAYE system. If you're due a refund, you'll get it within days. If you owe us money, we'll work with you on a payment option. My Account. It's quick, it's easy, and it's free.
We were talking to Minister Michael Healy-Rae yesterday about some of the impacts of recent storms as it relates to Ireland's forestry. And for many out there, it's a distant memory. For others, not so, including Thomas. Good morning, Thomas. How are you getting on?
Hello.
Hello, Thomas. How are you getting on? You are still struggling with it is the fallout from the storm, I presume, is it?
It is. There's Morrison Johnson here, and since the storm, the wires have been broken about quarter of a mile from the house here. There are 4 wires lying on the field, and maybe somebody has looked at them, but I don't see no activity any day. But yesterday, having contacted yourselves on Highland Radio, there was 4 vans out. So
that's
I
helpful,
think they've
isn't it?
replaced the wires anyway, so we'll maybe get the rest done today, hopefully.
Well, fingers crossed. That sounds like progress because, you know, at least you sort of knew what the problem was locally. Looking at it, driving past it every day must have been incredibly frustrating because we're so reliant on our broadband connection now, Thomas.
Well, I've 2 here at college, so there's a lot of work from home, you know yourself, Greg, and there's a lot of extra running in. They run empty dairy to the college to get the work done, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's other things. They have Netflix and they have Microsoft Word and stuff. You know, it's all related to the broadband, like so.
All right, okay. Well, we made contact obviously when you first contacted us. Hopefully that's kicked things on. The wires seem to.
Hopefully there should be progress today. Hopefully they've got the wires fixed now. So maybe a bit of footwear work today. Maybe up the pole. Maybe.
All right,
that's started. You know.
Fingers crossed. After a month, you could be on the verge. Thanks, Thomas. Fingers crossed. Keep us updated, though, will you?
We're running out of the 5th weekend, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
Well, thanks to yourself, Greg, for contacting. Thank you very much.
Well, let's see if it gets on first, and then we'll pat ourselves in the back. All right, Thomas, good man.
No, but thanks.
Take care. All right, okay. Rachel's a DigiWeb customer. Rachel, what's your situation? And good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. My situation is we're in the same situation as Thomas in that we've had no broadband for over a month now. And what compounds the problem is that we live in a very remote area just outside Letterkenny where we're surrounded by hills and bogland, and we're in a signal black spot for everything.
No, right.
So we have no basic communications with the outside world whatsoever. We don't even have a proper phone signal or 3G to rely on. So it's National Broadband Ireland that administer the lines that we're on. And when we got connected to that first, it was a game changer for us because prior to that, we couldn't download files or stream television or do any of the things that our friends in town could. But now we're in a situation very similar to Thomas. I have 1 college-going child. I have 1 school-going child. They're unable to submit their work. We can't communicate, basically. We can't even send a WhatsApp message. We have no means of communicating with the outside world. And my issue with the whole thing, Greg, is that we've had no restoration date, nothing. When our ESB power went, we were at least able to go into ESB networks and check when we were likely to be restored. But we've had our hopes dashed several times in relation to a restoration of our broadband, and it's impossible to get information because you have to go through your service provider. You can't contact MBI directly, and if you do, they don't answer your call. So the most worrying part for me is I'm in a situation where I'm in ongoing treatment for breast cancer, and I have to attend regular medical appointments for that. And without internet, I can easily miss important appointments or news about scan results. And I have to leave the house every day to check my emails. Never mind that I have to spend an hour on the phone trying to get through to them for an update.
Well, Rachel, I'm told your repairs on Thursday. You're going to be back on Thursday. Now, I don't know why.
Yeah, unfortunately, Greg, I don't. Yeah.
They say it's the final repair. The final repair is on Thursday. But as I say, you know, has there been full stones before?
Yes, absolutely. We've had our hopes dashed multiple times. We've been given restoration dates that were very tentative several times. And the latest one was that a crew would be deployed between the 11th and the 23rd of February, and it would be back definitely by then. And that has come and gone. So I don't really have much faith in that.
I have a sense from the wording, it's easy for me to say this sitting in the studio. I have a sense by the wording from DigiWeb and the public scrutiny of the situation, they seem to be giving Thursday the 27th as a firm date, and we'll certainly be back to you to chase them up again if that's not the case. But especially given your circumstances with your health issues, the fact that you've no other form of communication, they need to make sure you're back on Thursday, and we'll be impressing on them as much as possible the importance of that.
Yeah, they really do, because, I mean, 2 to 3 weeks ago, we were told all the major work had been done on our fault and that it was just a matter of deploying a crew to our area and mobilising them in the area. We have seen zero evidence of anybody out repairing any lines in our area. And like Thomas, we can actually visibly see that we're driving past them every day and there's no van in sight. So it is incredibly frustrating. It's like being in Timbuktu.
All right. And Donna Marie, did you aware of Rachel's particular circumstances and stuff? We did. We'll just reinforce that with them just in a follow-up email, if that's okay, because, you need to be able to be contactable. Rachel, leave that with us. We're going to chase it up again just whilst we're speaking to make sure they stick to that date of the 27th. And it would appear, I think, that Thomas is going to be switched on today. So leave that with us, Rachel, and I hope everything with your treatment it goes according to plan and speed in you for full recovery very, very soon.
Thank you very much, Greg.
All right, look after yourself, Rachel. Thanks very much indeed. Okay, that is that. So fingers crossed we'll have some results in relation to that very, very soon. This is another contact we got here. I just found out that you will not get anything in the SEAA grant if windows, doors, insulation, heating have been included in the defective concrete block grant you get from DCC. People might think they get this after the house is built, but this is not the case. All contractors are including these in the builds and in the invoices. A lot of people think they get this after as well. It's not possible to get from both. It was very misleading when this was announced. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of this yet. I have a sense very shortly I'm going to know all about it. But the DCB grant, I thought this you got an additional SEAI grant as well towards the upgrading of windows and doors. This caller is saying that's not the case, at least in their case, because the contractor are including these in the builds and in invoices. So I'm sure that person has done their research and knows exactly what they're talking about. But if you've been through that experience and you can add anything to that situation, please get in touch. Of the damage done to the storm, says the listener, how many of those were non-Indigenous trees? Surely it's time to move away from non-Indigenous trees, as we wouldn't have half as much damage if the trees were Indigenous. But I mean, a lot of the trees that we were talking about yesterday are, it's commercial forestry. So I presume you have to grow the trees that the market seeks, and rapid growing trees. There has to be a business plan in there, doesn't it? I know there are other trees along power lines and stuff that that you're probably referencing, but still. I hope the number of trees that fell in the forest due to the past storm will be lifted before the month of May, so normal growth can continue, like the bluebells, which are necessary for the bees and other insects. Good point. But I wonder if those trees fell and no one heard them, did they make a noise? That's another question. Just a quick announcement here. It's confidential shredding time again on Friday the 28th of February at the Letterkenny Shopping Centre. It's in association with United Shredding Company and the Letterkenny Rotary Club, and all for just a donation to the Donegal Down Syndrome Association. As usual, the USL unit will be situated on the right-hand side of the car park near the entrance from 10:30am to 12 midday, so just come along, and members of the Rotary Club will also be on standby to assist if needed. So this is a simple thing. Just to iterate it, in case it's not clear, you want to get rid of some stuff confidentially, you can go and get it shredded, make a donation to the Letterkenny Rotary Club for that service, which you'd ordinarily pay for, I presume, and or not use at all, which is dangerous for some, and money goes towards the Donegal Down Syndrome Association. So pretty simple, and that is on Friday at the Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Hi, can you let that caller know I got a letter from the housing agency in June 2024 for first quarter of 2025. I only got notice last week for next month of testing. So this was a caller earlier. Was it yesterday? It feels like maybe it was Friday. Maybe it was yesterday. A caller who was told they'd get contact from the housing agency in the first quarter of 25. We're still in the first quarter of 25, and they were wondering if the housing agency did chase them up or stick to the timelines. And we have a listener there suggesting that yes, they did in their case. Hi, Greg. Can you tell me, did anyone who make an appeal who made an appeal to the housing agency against Outer Leaf being repaired and seeking full demolition got any answers? I'm going to have to throw that out to you out there, folks. I don't know off the top of my hand. Have you successfully appealed to the housing agency, Outer Leaf, and then been reclassified for full demolition? That caller wants to know. Let me know, and I can pass it on to them. A few more emailing on the war in Ukraine. Hi, Greg. Donald Trump is quite right about the Ukrainian president. His presidency ended last year. He's now unelected and thus a dictator in one of the most corrupt countries in the world. The corruption in Ukraine is an issue, and that was a barrier to their joining the EU. So that is that. Martial law, though, is, and I'm going to read your whole email, martial law, because they are at war, is in effect in Ukraine, and the constitution dictates that you can't have elections during martial law. So, I mean, it's very Trumpy language to say he's now an unelected president, because, you know, the nature of they're in a war, and martial law is in effect, so they can't have elections. But anyway, Transparency International recently publicised their 2024 list of perceived country perception, where a number 1 listing is considered the least corrupt country in the world. Ireland is ranked at number 10 on the list. Ukraine's listed at 105, meaning corruption is rampant as the way of doing business. Zelensky banned the opposition parties years ago. He allows no one to challenge him. He has banned the Russian language and the Russian Orthodox Church. So much for freedom of religion. Trump is right. Zelensky's a dictator. Okay, there you go. That's his view. Donald Trump showed the world of his evil last week with his plans to ethnically cleanse Palestine and Gaza from their homeland. While peace in Ukraine is to be welcomed, as it was always an unwinnable war for Ukraine, it will be the mega corporations that will benefit by sweeping up all Ukraine's minerals and natural resources. Anyone who thinks that Trump is to benefit of ordinary people, working people, needs their head examined. But that is the world we live in. The rich get richer off our backs, you know, and it amazes me that people are unbridled or unblinkered support for certain people, be it Trump or Harris or whoever it might be. I don't care what their political persuasion is. It's always about money. America now is cozying up to Russia because there's a massive aluminium deal on the table, plus all the minerals they get out of Ukraine. And now the Chinese are trying to cozy up more with Russia. It's like a battle to have Russia as your best friend. It's astonishing how Russia has come from being a pariah 2 weeks ago now to be courted by, I know China have for some time, but to be courted by the biggest nations in the world. It's quite remarkable. And of course, it's all about resources and it's all about money. I don't think anyone is naive enough to think war is often about much more than that.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Welcome everyone to Seachtain na Gaeilge Energia. I'm Julie J and I will be your ambassador.
And I, Shane Daniel Byrne, will also.
Agus Comá le sin by Misha Michael Fry.
We all will be your ambassador.
Join us and share your funniest focal as Gaeilge.
Your silliest jokes.
No few ver vocal Donna at the festival events on Gade Gudi on Seachtain lá Déag de Vorta.
Glockport with your own funny focal this Seachtain na Gaeilge le Energia. Till Olash snog.ie.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
You don't get a minute to yourself when your cows start calving. It's one thing after another. There's no let up. You'll do everything you can to look after your animals and ensure they survive. But are you doing enough to survive it yourself? Always be alert around livestock to stay safe this calving season. Find out more at hsa.ie/farm safety. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
When it comes to great value home energy offers, you can trust SSE Airtricity to deliver. That's why more people switch to us than any other energy provider in the last 12 months. Switch today and you'll get 20% off your electricity and gas, plus €130 welcome credit. Join the thousands who've already made the switch to SSE Airtricity. It's easy. Simply go to ssseairtricity.com. SSE Airtricity. This is Generation Green. EAB €2,583. Claim based on latest CRU change of supplier report December 24. Rates valid 1st of July 24. For T's and C's, tariffs, standing charges, claim verification and exit fees, see ssseairtricity.com.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our new season special occasion wear range is here. Visit us to explore our extensive dress collection in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, so bright and breezy today with a mix of sunny spells and showers. The showers will mainly affect you the further west you are in the region, but will become more widespread in the afternoon. Some of the showers turning heavy with a chance of hail, highest temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees in fresh westerly winds. There is a high pressure building off Ireland, which should bring us more pleasant weather. Certainly late Wednesday into Thursday and Friday, but a chilly night potentially in store between now and then. Right, we often talk, as you can imagine, about dog attacks on sheep. And I do wonder sometimes when you hear it, do you think it's just a couple of farmers that are very unlucky and they're always the ones that's speaking? If there are 100 farmers, is it one or two that are affected? You know, what is the extent of dog attacks on sheep? How many farmers are likely to be affected out of the total number of farmers in our country? Well, there's been a recent survey that will give us more information in relation to that. And sheep farmer Niamh Monaghan joins me now. How are you getting on, Niamh? Thanks for your time.
Hi, Greg. How are you? Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on the show because, as I say, you know, this is an issue we talk about regularly, but I didn't really ever see anything before that gave us a real picture at the extent of the problem. So talk to me about your survey, I suppose, how many farmers you spoke to and what were the key findings?
Yeah, I suppose, Greg, it all stemmed from back a month ago on the 19th of January, we had an attack on our flock of pedigree Texels. And after that attack, that was our fourth attack in 5 years. The last few attacks we had, you know, you're dealing with the whole situation, you're dealing with the emotional side of it, the financial side of it, the mental side of it, and you kind of don't really think to share it, I suppose. But this time we just felt like, I suppose it was something that needed to be shared and people needed to realise all across the country that this is happening. The awareness is there, it seems to be within the farming community, and farmers all over the country are well aware that these attacks are happening. But I think it was important for us to maybe get this beyond the farming community and get everybody across Ireland to realise, you know, that it is happening. So we decided to, after our attack, to maybe get some hard facts and to put out just a survey to sheep farmers across Ireland. It was just myself and my dad did the survey ourselves, and we decided that we just have two questions. One being, have you ever experienced a dog attack on your farm? And the other one being, were you a lowland or a hill farmer? So
and it was a decent survey size. Like, you know, a lot of people put a lot of weight in Red Sea polls and all that type of stuff. You know, you're up there in terms of sample size for a lot of those polls. So I imagine this is going to be pretty reflective of reality. So 558 sheep farmers were asked those simple questions. And what were the results?
So 409 of them, Greg, which is 73%, came back to tell us that they had experienced dog attacks on their farm. Which is a shocking statistic, like absolutely huge numbers. And also then as well as that, there was 88% of hill farmers and 82% of lowland farmers. So it just goes to show that, you know, it's not just happening in our lowland areas, and it's not just happening in our hill flocks. It's happening all across the country in every corner of Ireland.
Is it possible that those who were the victims of attacks may have been more likely to respond in any way, skewing the outcome? I know it's not necessarily cast iron scientific, Niamh, but you know what I mean. Maybe
no, it's not. It's just a general survey, and look, I suppose probably there was. I reached out to anybody at all. I reached out to the local sheep societies, the national sheep societies, the sheep breeder groups locally. anyone that I knew, and necessarily I don't know that all of them have had attacks, and I understand what you're saying, but you'd hope that anyone that did receive the survey answered it honestly, either yes or no if they did have an attack. But from what we're hearing, Greg, and the people that have contacted me on social media after our attack, I would well believe those statistics are fairly close to being accurate, because the amount of people that have contacted us to say, we had one 2 years ago, we had one last week, we had one last month. They're happening constantly all over the country.
Yeah, and as you've already pointed out in your intro, obviously, look, there is a financial cost to this, but there is an emotional cost to it as well, a stress cost to it, and the margins are pretty tight as is. It's very difficult for farmers to absorb these type of losses, and they should be avoidable as well, Niamh. That's the thing here. This is about a small group of irresponsible dog owners that don't know what their dogs are doing. They think the dog running up and down the field, there's no harm to it or whatever. But the penny's not dropping. Dog owners aren't getting the message, it seems.
That's the most important thing, Greg, I think, for us, because we love dogs. We're dog people, and have had many dogs down through the years in our family, and love them as pets. But at the end of the day, they are animals, and they have owners, and the owners, it's the responsibility of the owners to know where their dog is at all times, to make sure that their dog is under that effectual control, and that they know where they are. If they're penned in somewhere, that they're definitely there, that they're not in a neighbour's field. And that is the thing, it's not just, I suppose, your people are saying to us, oh, it's big dogs and it's huge dogs and it's hunting dogs and it's different types of dogs. It's not. It can be any dog. It can be your pet at home that you wouldn't think would hurt a fly once they get out into a field of sheep, or any livestock for that matter. It can have detrimental effects.
Yes, and it's not either about the dog taking the sheep down either. It's
the worrying.
Pre-election, we had a very scattered approach to this. Dog wardens employed by the council. I think we had one, now we've got two, but there is a sense that it's a bit 9 to 5. Microchipping coming under the Department of Agriculture. Dog licensing coming under the Department of Rural Affairs. Very scattered. How can you bring all those elements together to sort of even enforce something, right? Because maybe if appeals aren't working, you have to force people to comply, unfortunately. I think there was some moves post-election that they would try and rationalise that a little bit. So we'll see how that comes about. But there is a new survey which we've posted on our social media as well. We've put it on our Facebook page, our Highland Hub Facebook page. What's this new survey about, Niamh?
Yeah, so this new survey, I suppose, Greg, and thank you very much for sharing it. I really appreciate it. It's just, I suppose, to build on our findings from our previous survey. So I suppose we want to use these findings to maybe push for some meaningful change for sheep farmers all across Ireland, whether it be hill, lowland, pedigree, commercial flocks, whoever they are. We feel that there needs to be change, just as you said, Greg, at a government level. And I suppose that's where we're hoping to go with this. So I feel like, if we're building a case and building, some facts together, it's very important to try and get as many as possible. So this new survey, I suppose, just gives a little bit more insight and asks a few more questions. It's also anonymous like the previous survey, but hopefully we'll just give a little bit more of an insight into actually, the trouble that farmers are facing all across Ireland.
Yeah, and you've made the point quite clearly, but just to reiterate, the greater the survey, the harder it is to ignore, because the more representative it is of the farming community. And as I say, that's on our Facebook page. Share it with your friends, or indeed maybe if you've got sheep farmers in your life that aren't online, sit with them and fill it out for them. I'm sure they'd want to have their say on this as well. But startling, 73% of those who responded to the initial survey have experienced dog attacks on their flocks. All right, Niamh Monaghan, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Greg. Thanks,
Take care.
everyone.
Bye-bye. We'll be back with Community Garda information after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
You can't predict a minor injury or illness, but you can be sure of Ophelia Letterkenny's MIU walk-in service. Our priority is to see all patients within 1 hour, from minor illnesses to cuts and breaks, sports and limb injuries to minor burns. Ophelia Letterkenny MIU, located in Scally Place. Accidents don't wait for an appointment, neither should you.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Whether they're on holiday, watching TV, eating a family meal.
Put it down.
It seems teenagers just refuse to put down their phones. But help is at hand.
Because Fundamania is in Derry.
Real thrills, real fun, outside in the fresh air.
Fundamania Derry at the Brunswick Movie Bowl from February 28th to March 17th.
Choose regular, junior or family wristbands. Turn screen time into scream time. Details at fundamania.co.uk.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Ibrion balla ní sé na schedule TFI brisithe idir an folcara agus an clohan lia, head a hervish filche lehula nish on lún gesahern, agus trí hervish filche lehula ir an dona. Lish an balla seo curtar servishi buach révse gus tranónar foil, le kangel ní sfer le servishi farantrachte, le Hereford gunangal, agus le servishi regan ha bus. Is sinne TFI is umper ditchimuj, go hig local link dsl.ie, a chudar foil dich mar chud da flan so luisteachta, tuige ere an asku.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The victim of a fatal workplace accident in Donegal has been named locally as Newton Cunningham man John Ralston. Mr. Ralston, who was in his 60s, was pronounced dead at the scene following the accident at around 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon in the Newton Cunningham area. Gardai and the Health and Safety Authority are continuing their investigations. Donegal County Council is being urged to investigate the potential of using 3D printed homes to address the housing crisis in Donegal. Councillor Joy Beer told a special housing meeting that what seemed like science fiction a few years ago is now a potential way forward. She's asking officials to begin a research initiative, including liaising with Louth County Council, which has begun using the technology. She says with Donegal facing what is in effect a double crisis, imaginative answers are needed.
We do have two crises here and they don't gel. We have the housing crisis that we're experiencing throughout the whole country, and then we have our defective blocks crisis here. So we need quick ways to get people into safe homes again. This is the latest technology and I think we can't ignore it. We could be the innovators in this and move forward with this. And it can only be a good thing to research it and look into it. So that's what I'm asking the council to do.
Another spending controversy has arisen within government. It's emerged over €120,000 was spent on a scanner for the National Gallery, which has never been used. It's been lying idle since 2017 as it doesn't fit in any room. Taoiseach Simon Harris says it's a disgrace.
I think my reaction to this is the same as the reaction that every person will have right across this country, which is one of absolute fury. It's really important that the government is briefed by the Minister on this matter today. I thank him for bringing it to our attention. And then it's really important that the people who are paid to run these institutions come out and talk to the Irish people in relation to these issues. You know, government provides money to state agencies and they do very good work, but they're also accountable for the spend of that money.
The Taoiseach says he would absolutely invite Donald Trump to Ireland and he's welcome here. Micheál Martin will travel to America next month as part of the St Patrick's Day celebrations. He's expected to ask the US President to visit Ireland following his previous trip in 2019. It's still unclear if the Taoiseach is invited to the White House this year, but Micheál Martin insists it doesn't work like that.
Well, there's no formal invitation. They don't happen in that manner, but our MSC and our people will be engaging
White House. I am travelling to Washington, and I'll also be travelling to Austin in advance of that. He's been here before, and we would absolutely invite President Trump to Ireland. He's welcome here.
Efforts are being made to establish who has responsibility for access to Ballymacool House in Letterkenny. It's after the site was discovered laden with rubbish over the weekend, including household items and toys. Chairperson of Letterkenny Tidy Towns, Gerard McCormick, says he will be holding discussions with Donegal County Council. He says while action is needed to clean up the site, a long-term solution to clamp down on littering is needed.
We have to ask a lot of questions about what type of litter is it? How is it accessed? Is the site accessible? Can it be made not accessible? But they're really questions that have to be figured out. There's one thing going in to get it cleaned up. There's another thing really getting the problem solved long term.
Almost 500 homes on Armore Island will soon have access to fibre broadband. The National Broadband Plan is being rolled out on the offshore island, with connections set to go live in the autumn. €128 million is being invested in Donegal under the National Broadband Plan, which will see high-speed connections delivered to 34,000 premises. Works have already been completed in parts of the county. 2 men have been arrested in Derry and illegal drugs seized. At around 5 o'clock last evening, a white BMW was observed being driven dangerously in the Glen Road area of the city. It was subsequently stopped and officers discovered a quantity of drugs. The 2 men remain in custody, assisting police with their inquiries. Police are appealing to anyone who witnessed the vehicle or who has dashcam footage to contact them. Weather now bright and breezy today with a mix of sunny spells and showers. Some of the showers turning heavy with the chance of hail. Highest temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notice says for this Tuesday morning, February the 25th. The death has taken place of Andy Bolton, 2 Breen Park, Victoria Bridge, reposing at the family home from 11 o'clock this morning. Funeral from the family home on Thursday morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Teresa's Church, Sion Mills. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed via the parish webcam. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to Marie Curie Cancer Care of any family member. The death has taken place of Joseph Joe Gallagher, Dunaff, Uris Clomani, formerly of Bishop Street, Derry. Remains are reposing at his home today from 11 o'clock until 10 o'clock. Removal from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:15 for 2 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Michael's Church, Uris Clomani, with burial in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Rosaline Rose McGonigal, Nay O'Donnell, Anna Clomani. Her remains are reposing at her home. A shuttle bus service will be in operation from the Ballyliffin Hotel car park to the Wake House this evening from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:20 to St Mary's Church, Clomani for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in St Michael's Church, Graveyard, Uris. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family time please from 10 o'clock to 12 noon. The death has occurred of William Davison, Maharenan, Letterkenny, formerly High Carn, Ramelton, reposing at his late residence. House private please. Funeral from there today going to Trinity Presbyterian Church, Main Street, Letterkenny for service of Thanksgiving at 2 o'clock, followed by committal in the Bank Cemetery, Ramelton. Family flowers only please, donations if wished to the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of baby Danny McLaughlin, Chur Argus, Trenta, Churchill. Danny's remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there today for Mass of the Angels in St Columkille's Church, Glendowen at 12 noon, followed by interment in Garton Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. House strictly private before the funeral today. Family flowers only please. And the death has taken place of Michael McConaughey, Ard Glass, Port Salon, Fanad, County Donegal, reposing at his late residence. House private to family, friends and neighbours only please. Requiem Mass will be held in St Columbus Church, Mass Mount Fanad this morning at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, donations in lieu of flowers to the renal dialysis unit at Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or McAteer funeral directors. The Requiem Mass will be live streamed on the McAteer Funeral Directors Facebook page. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. Cóide maithe, tá a gcónaí an sin dó, ol agus maith. Is má leis nuair a bhí am thart. Éon uair a bhíonn sé ag dul amach faim an gléach. Agus lá aigean, is dócha go mar óig mé.
Ní cara maithe an tabhac. Is féidir an smacht atá aige ort a bhriise leis de 28 lá. Fá amach conas éirí as an gahaf tabhac ag quit.ie. Ó aimimeach na séirbhíse sláinte.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Coming up very shortly, we have the latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána, so stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about a documentary on Pirate Radio a little later on. That and so much more besides. Keep your calls, comments coming into us this morning. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and texts. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000. We love your emails too. Comments at highlandradio.com. More conversation about the Irish language. Someone messaged into, and it reads as follows. When applying for a job, the person looking at your application should only be looking at it if you're capable of doing the job. Speaking Gaelic, French, Russian, English should have no bearing on you getting the job unless you're getting a job as translator. There's nothing wrong with being educated to speak Irish, but as far as jobs go, it's a dead language. There are some professions still in Ireland, like the Garda. I believe you still have to have the education in Gaelic, which is not true anymore. That was changed. I'm not sure how many gangsters, crooks would need an interpreter because they only speak Irish, which is complete nonsense. It's part of our history, but it's of no use to us at all. Just in relation to if you work in an office or particularly a public office, but any office or any business in the Gaeltacht area, for an example, I think being able to speak Irish is an advantage and should be seen as an advantage. And I don't think we should be ashamed of that. You know, there are many people, perhaps not as many as there was in the past for the reasons we've been outlining, that wish to conduct their business in Irish. And in their own country, they should be able to speak Gaelic, shouldn't they? So if you, particularly, I think if you're in the Gaeltacht area, if you're in a public job or not, why shouldn't being able to speak Irish be an advantage over somebody else, especially if you're engaging with people whose first choice language is in Gaelic in their own country, of which it's the national language. As it relates to Gardai, I mean, times are changing now. Gardai are dealing with people from all different types of backgrounds, and I think you need two languages, but it can be English, and other, Polish, whatever other languages that might be there. I don't think Irish is essential any longer. I could be wrong in relation to that, but that's my understanding. But I mean, if you want to write the language off, some people seemingly do. Yesterday afternoon, I was walking up the Port Road just past the ATU in Letterkenny and saw something you would never have noticed if you were driving a car. A row of majestic, perhaps 100-year-old big trees had just been cut down. This was totally disheartening to me. I do not remember ever seeing any planning permission notices to cut down the great trees ever being posted on the Port Road. This is a huge loss to Letterkenny, both environmentally and visually. Who is responsible for, as they describe it, this soulless atrocity? Do you need planning permission to cut a tree down? I'm not quite sure. Maybe it forms part of the planning application. I don't know. Right, this is just a correspondence we had from a listener. I'll read it. Unfortunately, we don't have any great results for this listener. My story is I'm a 56-year-old man living alone in an apartment in Letterkenny. I work in a low-paid job. The landlord is selling up, so he's giving me notice to vacate the flat. I got a shock when I started looking for new accommodation, thinking I would need 3 jobs to pay for the rent they're asking. I'm on the housing list with the council, and they said I'm entitled to their HAP scheme, which was a relief to hear, as no way I could afford these prices. That was until I applied for it. I found an apartment that I was interested in, let's say $260 a week. Yeah, I know, crazy price for a single man to pay. I contacted the council to check how much they would pay towards it. I did get a bit of a shock when was told I'd have to pay €270 a week, exactly 49% of my weekly income. Not blaming the council, I'm just making a point that how am I supposed to live with nearly half my wages taken up by rent? I have health problems, so I pay for my tabs. Well, thank God for the drug scheme, so that took it to €80 a month. On top of that, I have to feed myself, pay the bills and try and run a car. It's impossible. People say I'd be better off signing on the dole and get these things plus more paid for. I was a bit sick, to be honest, when told how much rent I would need to come up with. Not quite homeless yet, but that's on my mind. It's not nice living with this worry. Thanks for taking the time to read this, as I'm sure there's more and worse problems people have. Listen, you don't have to be ashamed to be worried about your personal situation. 56 years of age, single. Well, I'm not sure if you're single or not, but living alone. And obviously had a decent enough spot now that the landlord wants to sell. So you're into the open rental market. €260 a month, and the cap would account for what, €43 towards that. So you still have to find €217. It's half of his income, and also probably needing a car and other stuff. It's a very tight situation to find yourself in. There's no doubt about that. We did contact the council as a courtesy to you, though what they might be able to say was going to be limited, I suppose. And their response is simple and reads as follows. This individual should continue to liaise with his local housing agency and Citizens Information, who can provide details on available support. So hopefully, maybe there's a little bit more can be done to help there. All right, it is approaching 10:15. Back after these with Community Garda Information.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday, the 25th of February. You're playing on the brown sheet for the daily prize of €800. The reference number is S2. It's game number 9. The numbers are 82, 43, 60, 90, 13, 37, 41, 40, 78, and finally 39. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
You join us for the World Final Chip Sizzle Freestyle Contest, and the team from Charlie's Chips are in the lead. What a team, look at them go. They're coming up to the finishing pan, and once again, Charlie's Chips are the winners. Served with mouth-watering burgers, fresh battered fish or delicious chicken. And there's a great selection of gluten-free options now also on the menu. All available to take away or sit in Tuesday to Saturday from 12 to 8. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's on Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality, and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Keep out the cold, and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91260025.
Okay, you are very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. It is Community Garda information time, and we have in studio with us Garda Claire Rafferty. Thank you so much for calling up. Great to see you again.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you keeping?
Not too bad, no.
Okay, we've a lot to get through, and starting though with some very sad news.
Yeah, we're deeply saddened to hear of the passing of our honorary Garda Danny McLaughlin from Trenta. Danny recently graduated as one of our little blue heroes, so it's a very sad time for us now. A Mass of the Angels will take place today for Danny, and our thoughts and prayers are very much with his parents, Michael and Annie, his twin brother Charlie, and with his extended family and friends during this very sad time. May he rest in peace.
Indeed, and may he rest in peace. And I had the absolute pleasure of having Danny and his aunt and his nurse, who was clearly in love with him as well, up here. And he was the most beautiful little boy, and he was so well behaved. And I got to hold him, and I was just absolutely devastated to hear this news. And it's just really, really sad. And it's lovely that you've paid tribute to him this morning, Garda Claire Rafferty, and I join with you in extending our sympathies to Danny's family and all those affected by that type of news. It does affect people right across the board.
Absolutely.
Moving on to some appeals now, and starting with a road traffic collision down further south into the county, Claire.
Yeah, so Gardai attended the scene of a serious road traffic collision that occurred on the R263 at Largy, Killybegs on Friday the 21st of February. So at approximately 4:50 p.m. on Friday, Gardaí were alerted to a collision that had occurred involving a pedestrian and a car. A male pedestrian, 5 years old, was removed from the scene to Sligo University Hospital with serious injuries. He remains in hospital receiving medical treatment. We wish him a speedy recovery. No other injuries were reported at the scene. So we are appealing to the road users who may have been travelling along that stretch road between 4:30 p.m. and 4:50 p.m. with a dash cam to make the footage available to us. If anyone witnessed the collision, we'd also ask you to make contact with Gardai in Ballyshannon, and their phone number is 071 9858 530.
Investigations ongoing into a road traffic collision, this time in Lifford.
Yeah, this one occurred on the Port Hall to St Johnson Road on Sunday, the 23rd of February at 3:20 p.m. approximately. So the area where the collision occurred is known locally as the Block of Five. 2 cars were involved in this collision. The driver and passenger of one of the cars sustained injuries which are not believed to be life-threatening in nature. The driver of the second car left the area and did not remain at the scene. So we're appealing for anyone again with dashcam footage who may have travelled on that Port Hall to St Johnson Road between 3 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. on Sunday. If you can assist us with either dashcam footage or what you've seen at the time, any relevant information will be welcomed. So if you can contact Gardai in Letterkenny on 074 916 7100.
And in this regard, Gardai are very good at their job. I mean, if the person hasn't yet presented themselves, there is a window of opportunity there. It's very likely that
at a business premises in the area of Dromark, Donegal town between 2:20 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. on Sunday the 23rd of February. So that would have been Saturday night into Sunday morning. A shed at the premises was entered after the lock was forced open, and a number of boxes of used brake calipers were stolen from within. So we appeal to anyone who may have travelled in that area at that time. You know, it would have been quiet enough around those times.
the taxi drivers, etc., may have been out and about.
Exactly. If you were in that area between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, please think back. Did you see anything? Or if you've dashcam footage, please make it available to us. We are interested in any sightings of or any dashcam footage of a white Citroen dispatch van that is believed to have been in the area at that time. So we're asking anyone to make contact with Ballyshannon Garda Station on 071 9858 530 with any relevant information. And of course, the Garda Confidential line is also there as well. So that phone number is 1-800 666 111.
Now, this seems like a rare enough occurrence. At least it's rare in terms of triggering an appeal in this item, and that's an assault and robbery in Letterkenny.
Yeah, so this happened on Tuesday the 18th of February at 7:30 p.m. A male teenager was walking at Upper Main Street, Letterkenny, when he was confronted by 2 males who he didn't know. The incident occurred near the foot of Church Lane on the main street. Both males assaulted the teenager. The injured teenager then managed to run up Upper Main Street, but he was followed by one of the males who then demanded that he hand over his money. The male did so, and then the two males left the area on foot towards Lower Main Street. Now, CCTV footage has been checked, and it has been ascertained that during this time there were a number of people in the area in vehicles and also on foot. So we're appealing to these people or anyone with any relevant information to make contact with us in Letterkenny on 074 916 7100. If anyone travelled at Main Street, Letterkenny between 7:20pm and 7:40pm on February the 18th with dashcam, please make it available to us.
Okay, now criminal damage in Lifford next.
Yes, so Gardai are investigating this criminal damage incident that occurred at Cowsha Cloonley, Gallows Lane, Lifford at approximately 9:50pm on Sunday night, the 23rd of February. Stones were thrown at a house in the area at that time, and as a result, 2 front windows were smashed. So we appeal to anyone who may have observed suspicious activity in the area to make contact with Gardai in Letterkenny for this one. And again, it's 074 916 7100. If anyone travelled in that area with dashcam footage between 9:30 and 10pm, we ask you to make it available to us, or indeed again the Garda confidential line.
Yeah, for sure. So the dashcam footage obviously clearly an important tool now, and as you mentioned too, first hand. What do you call it when you look at something with your eyes? Witnesses. If you witnessed it personally as well, also very, very useful.
Absolutely.
My word. 2025 and I've completely lost it altogether. Right, okay, so we'll go to Lifford now. I think there's a theft incident in Lifford. Did we mention that? Sorry, I've lost the track of myself. Yeah, we did. You just mentioned that. So now it's theft of a bike in Bundoran, Claire. Am I right?
No, well, we were going to go criminal damage in Letterkenny here on Sunday morning.
Thank you for keeping me straight.
So we're appealing for information in relation to this incident that occurred at Solomon's Hill in Letterkenny shortly after 6am on Sunday, the 23rd of February. The front sitting room window of a house in that area was smashed by a rock around that time. So same again, anyone with dashcam footage, anyone with any information that can assist us, we're appealing to you to make contact. If you observed anything suspicious in the area, be it people or vehicles, just reach out to us, and even if you're not sure, we'll check it out and make sure. So you can contact Letterkenny there, 074 916 7100.
All right, now theft incident in Lifford this time.
Yeah, so this one occurred at Comer Moor Town Parks, Lifford, between 5pm on Tuesday the 18th of February and 7:30am on Wednesday morning. A Kubota digger had been parked at that location overnight. The battery cover was damaged and the battery from within was then stolen. So we appeal to anyone who may be able to assist us in this investigation to contact Letterkenny 074 916 7100.
Yeah, that battery, a bit of specialist equipment too, so people should keep an eye out for it on the secondary market, I suppose. Down to Bundoran now, the theft of a bike down there.
Yeah, so this is a Black Cross men's bicycle which was taken from the main street in Bundoran between 10:30pm and 11:30pm on Saturday night, the 22nd of February. The bike had been left outside the tourist office and it was not locked. So if anyone was in the area with dashcam between those times, or anyone who may have seen something, we ask you to make contact with Gardai in Ballyshannon for this one on 071 9858530.
All right, and mentioning scams again, and I don't mind mentioning them every week because they change all the while, and unfortunately I hear often off air but sometimes on air of people being defrauded of little amounts of money and huge amounts of money. So anything we can do to get the info out there, I think, Claire, we should do. So what are we seeing at the moment?
Yeah, so look, the scams and fraud continues. So as you say, it's very important that we're scam aware. We've become aware of an email-based scam or fraud where an individual receives correspondence claiming to be from ourselves in Garda Síochána, So we have received recent reports of this type of scam. Email is once again in circulation.
And the mechanism of this really is to shock people into parking their sensibilities effectively. That's what they're doing, aren't they?
So this correspondence states that the individual's computer is to be seized in relation to investigations into the types of child pornography or paedophilia, things that make people panic, essentially, to make them reach out to us.
I need to clear my name immediately.
Absolutely, you know, that's what they're trying to do, and it does work at times, so we're asking people to be aware of it. The correspondence may state that the recipient is to be summoned to attend court to answer similar type charges. So we want to advise you that Garda Síochána does not and will not make contact with the person under investigation in this way. We advise anyone who has received similar correspondence and has any concerns about it to contact your local Garda station for advice. And we also appeal to any persons who may have inadvertently or otherwise engaged with this scam or any similar scam and subsequently been a victim of this type of fraud to report it to your local Garda station.
Next warning's a bit old school, isn't it? We don't hear about this much.
They keep coming around, but another scam we wish to highlight again is the one that many of us are already familiar with. It usually takes the form of an email, but we recently received a report from a man who received this scam in the form of a letter. So the letter purports to be from a foreign solicitor's office, and the letter advises that he has been left a massive sum of money from a recently deceased relation. The sum of money is usually astronomical, and of course this is when the alarm bells would ring for most people and they would question the validity of the letter. The worrying aspect of this particular scam is the fact that the letter was correctly addressed and the recipient was named in it. So this may add narrow credibility to it for some people. We don't want anyone to fall victim to this or any other type of scam. So we're asking everyone to please advise elderly or vulnerable family members and friends in relation to it, just in case they may fall for it. So should anyone receive this type of letter, we advise them to bin it. Do not make contact with the email address provided on the letter or correspond with the sender in any way. As we always say, if it seems too good to be true, it usually is.
It usually is indeed. Now, in the final stages of the latest round of the Garda recruitment campaign, there's been a big push on this time, Claire. Well, there always is, but there's been a particular emphasis this time. That's happening online, nationally, but also locally.
Yeah, so there's still time to join us. The recruitment campaign's ongoing until 3 p.m. on Thursday, so this Thursday, February 27th. You can go online to www.publicjobs.ie to apply. So in Letterkenny here, there's recruitment information stand in the Letterkenny Shopping Centre today, Tuesday, between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. And a recruitment information event will take place at Bunbeg Garda Station today as well, between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Everyone's welcome to call to either of these events for a chat to get more information about a career in Garda Síochána, or if you have any interest, you can call into any Garda station, ask any questions. You know, we're more than willing to answer them.
Yeah, and you're asking people that are in the force as well.
Exactly.
So they've got first-hand experience.
Exactly.
Right, another 24-hour National Speed Enforcement Day tomorrow, I think it is.
Yeah,
isn't it?
this one's tomorrow. So we're conducting the 24-hour National Speed Enforcement Operation nationally. It's a slow-down day supported by the Road Safety Authority and other stakeholders. And Garda Síochána conducts a number of these high-profile national slow-down days every year. The aim of them is to remind motorists of the dangers of speeding, encourage a national conversation on the impact of speeding, to increase overall compliance with speed limits in place nationwide, and to deter and detect those that are intent on driving at excessive or inappropriate speeds. We all know driving in excess of the legal speed limit and or driving at an inappropriate speed for the prevailing road, weather and traffic conditions not only puts you at risk, but it also endangers the lives of others around you. When you speed, it reduces the potential reaction time to react to something unexpected on the road. And there is an increase in the likelihood of losing control of your vehicle, which could lead to serious or a fatal accident. The consequences of speeding can be devastating, not only for yourself, but for other innocent people on the road. The higher the speed, the greater the impact if you have a road traffic collision. So we are urging all road users to slow down every day.
We had a correspondence from a listener pointing out that, they claim that there's no central Garda section to deal with cybercrime unless this is for cybersecurity. You have to go to your local Garda to make a complaint. I know from another situation that the Gardaí involved had not a notion about being defamed online and nothing happened. I recently been hit with a personalised scam hate crime. I could lose my job over it. What Garda should I talk to about it?
Well, this caller should call to their local Garda station to make an initial report in relation to the matter, so it may be fully investigated. That's where everything starts. Go to your local Garda station and report it, and if necessary, then the report will be forwarded to a specialist unit for further investigation if it requires it.
Okay, and finally, good luck to students from right across the 4 districts.
Yeah, so we've 4 locations tonight, and we just want to wish the best of luck to all the students in the Letterkenny, Buncrana, Ballyshannon and Milford districts who are taking part in the district heat of the Donegal Garda School Quiz at various venues across the county this evening. This is always a fun event for all involved. We really look forward to it every year and to meeting the students and their families and teachers, and we hope that they all have a very enjoyable evening.
Indeed, and win.
Yes.
Okay, Garda Claire Rafferty, thank you very much indeed. Really
you.
appreciate your time today. That was Community Garda information for this Tuesday, the 25th of February 2025. It's back for you again live after the 10 o'clock news next Tuesday.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
For strong, unique, weather-resistant homes, choose Cedral Exteriors. Our fibre cement roof slates and wall cladding ranges are built to last for generations, exceeding EU quality standards. Members of Guaranteed Irish, our products are locally made and beautifully designed, offering long-term peace of mind. Visit cedral.ie. Cedral Exteriors. Strength guaranteed.
It's my family, my business. I don't need any help from you people. Keep asking all these questions. Mum and me are fine. I'm gonna leave her alone for 5 minutes. She freaks out. I just don't know how to help her. Note said she's not coming back. I've got no family, no friends. Came over yesterday. Things are kind of normal again thanks to you listening to me every week. I'm feeling better, you know.
Bernardo's changed many children's stories, but we can't without your support. Please donate today at bernardos.ie because childhood lasts a lifetime.
So he was like messaging me all night and then he just ghosted me.
No way.
Yeah. He was like, "You're so hot, I want to come over."
Okay.
And I was like, "Cool." And he was like, "I'm on my way, driving over right now."
And then?
Nothing.
Phone use while driving can be deadly. Your phone, it won't kill you to put it away. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
Winter sale now on at Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town. Amazing prices on made-to-order kitchens, sliding wardrobes and much more. Don't miss your chance to transform your home at unbeatable prices. Book your appointment today at cherrymore.ie or call 07497 25822. Cherrymore, 28 years of adding quality and value to your home.
Transform your space with McCafferty Tiles Buffet, specialising in large format and designer tiles. We offer expert installation and free design consultation in our showroom or on site. Let us bring your vision to life with bespoke recommendations. Call 086 242 3604 or find us on Facebook and Instagram. McCafferty Tiles Buffet, showroom by appointment.
Brian McCormick Sports, supporting Donegal GAA. New range in store for the new rules on pitch. Layer up with a new Donegal Dynamo range. Gilets and jackets with matching hats. New Donegal goalkeeper jersey. Looks good enough to be worn in any position. Show your colours. Click on BMC Sports.
Yeah, in relation to scams, the caller says getting a lot of calls recently from Belgium. Don't answer. Yeah, there is indeed. Now, I don't know if it's my service provider. I think I am. I don't think I know. I'm with Gomo and also my phone, but a lot of that stuff's flagged. Like, I don't get any scam texts. They go instantly into spam, and I haven't had to flag them. It just, as I say, I'm not sure if it's the Redmi phone I have or if it's a Gomo initiative, but calls do get through sometimes, but all texts and all that kind of stuff is flagged and goes straight into a spam folder. A caller asks, why do Gardai even need to do national high-profile slow-down days? This itself acknowledges that there isn't enough normal enforcement. Years ago, there was no need for such days because the local Gardai kept speeding in their area under control. This is just an admission of failure. It can't be dressed up any other way. Well, they have, in terms of saying it's about sort of awareness, a national conversation. Who could contradict that when we're actually having that conversation right now? Regarding the new speed limits, I was leaving my grandchild home when we were travelling on the Rafo Road leaving Tullyrap. There are new signs for the speed limit at 60 kilometres per hour. The grandchild is 3 years old. Coming around the bends, I met a man going over the white line. He was in between these cars. Speed limits will make no difference to drivers like these. I was so annoyed that he endangered my life and my grandchild's. These speed limits will make absolutely no difference to dangerous drivers like these. Okay. I think I can say good morning now to Dr. Mark Rowe. Good morning, Doctor. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, and thanks for having me to your audience in Highland Radio. I'm delighted to be here.
It's great to have you with us. Okay. Now, we have, I have your book in my hands, Things Your Future Self Will Thank You For, by Dr. Mark Rowe. Congratulations, by the way. I think anyone who gets produces books is doing a fantastic thing. Now, you're the first medical doctor in Ireland to be certified in lifestyle medicine. What's the significance of that accolade?
Probably none, to be honest. I mean,
don't come up with an answer for me, Doctor.
Someone always has to be the first, I suppose a pioneer, as it were. But, you know, I went over to Harvard in 2017 to do a course on lifestyle medicine, and purely by chance I discovered that the first ever certification exam was going to be held that October in Arizona. So I signed up, and I turned up in Arizona in October, and there were 220 doctors. Just imagine this, in a huge marquee tent. And I was the only one from Ireland, or indeed Britain. There were doctors from India, South America, all over the world. So to me, it made a lasting impression of, firstly, how big the world is, and secondly, how this idea of lifestyle as medicine is really taking hold across the world. And of course, the reason for that is, you know, we've really had what's called the pill for every ill, I suppose, over the last 60 or 70 years. And, you know, I've been a GP for 30 years. I'm a scientist. Medicine can be fantastic. It can be life-saving. You know, think antibiotics for meningitis. So many incredible breakthroughs. But that's not what lifestyle medicine is all about. Lifestyle medicine is saying that medication on its own is never enough for lasting well-being, and there's so much we can do in terms of our habits and our choices that can add significant life to our years. In other words, improve the quality of our everyday lived experience, and with some good luck, add years to our life as well.
Yeah, and just by coincidence, since we invited you on the programme and since we've spoken to you, we've seen this new report that's recommended greater caution and strict monitoring of the prescription of benzodiazepines and other drugs. The report aims to reduce the overprescription of sleeping pills to people. You know, people are becoming addicted. These types of drugs are being found in overdoses and what have you. So, you know, this is potentially a perfect example that maybe we are thinking in a linear fashion sometimes in terms of medicine, but also potentially maybe taking the path of least resistance. And that's only one category of drugs that are overprescribed, according to that report, that perhaps you could get similar results with lifestyle changes or other simple non-drug changes in your life.
Well, let me put it to you like this. Thanks to the discovery of what's called the epigenome, which is the master switch, it sits sort of on top of our DNA and it kind of controls how our cells express themselves. And a brilliant doctor, Elizabeth Blackburn, she discovered this enzyme called telomerase, which seems to support the ends of our telomeres. They're like the caps, shoe caps on the laces, as it were, and they tend to become frayed and break off and so on as we get older. It's biological aging. As you increase telomerase, you can make these telomeres healthier. And it turns out that about 75 to 80% of our sort of expression of our cells is under the control of our epigenome, which is largely influenced by our lifestyle habits. In other words, the vast majority of the impact on our health at a cellular level is down to our epigenome, in other words, down to our lifestyle habits. Just to get back to your point about the sleeping tablets, I think that's a perfect example. You know, people often say, sure, just give me a sleeping tablet, I need to sleep. But people don't realize that, you know, sleeping tablets, while they may be appropriate for a short period of time for people that are maybe experiencing a serious bereavement or loss or severe trauma, you know, they can be particularly addictive. You can become tolerant, and they have a whole range of long-term adverse side effects, including increasing the risk of memory loss, increasing the risk of sudden cardiac death, increasing the risk of falls and cognitive decline. And, you know, there's so much we can do in terms of our lifestyle habits to improve our 24-hour body clock.
And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that a little bit. And also, you could say the same for some of the anti-anxiety medication. You know, in the short term, it might seem like it's good, but you don't want to use it long term. And you know, then you have the bounce back anxiety and stuff, and it can make things worse. So you know, you'd be far better off if you can get into the core of the problem rather than tinkering around the edges. Now, as I say, I want to talk about what's in the book in a moment, but like I'm confident in you. Right, I have no doubt that people that pick up this book and read it cover to cover will see benefits from it. But I think the bridge that needs to be gapped sometimes is those that recognise that they need to make some lifestyle changes to have a better life, right, and better health, but also that some of the changes that you suggest would actually make any material difference, because they may also be pretty cynical people. Who's to say? I don't know. So is it getting your book in people's hands the big job of work? Because I'm sure you're confident it's so well written and researched that people who have it will get benefits from it.
Well, let me just say this to you. I'm a cynic too, and because I'm a scientist. You know, so I talk about things that have a strong scientific evidence base to support them. For example, cultivating the habit of optimism, which is something that can be learned and developed, can reduce your risk of heart disease by 35%. That's published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. That's incredible evidence supporting the connection between the brain and the body. So, you know, I'm a cynic and I'm a skeptic. So I always take the view, show me the evidence. But once I see the evidence, and if it's compelling, then I want to share it. You know, as I said to a patient recently, they were, you know, complimenting me on the book, and I said, look, I'm very lucky and grateful and privileged to be able to do this as part of my work. But really, there's no point in having information or having access to information and knowledge if you don't share it with the world. So I think that's, for me, it's all about purpose. It's all about service and contribution and trying to make the world a better place, one conversation at a time. And that's why I'm grateful to be on your show this morning, because hopefully some people that are listening might get some ideas that support them in improving their long-term health and well-being. Of course, it's not easy to make changes. You know, this whole idea of new year, new you, and all this idea about just 21 days to build a habit, that's totally oversold. Change, while we are all constantly changing, making lasting changes that benefit our health is never easy. But it is possible. And what's really interesting is, firstly, how interconnected our mind, our body, our emotions, our relationships, our purpose, our environments are. And secondly, how making small changes in just one element can have a compound benefit on all the rest. And that might be something you commit to start doing, or something you commit to stop doing. Stop doing, you were talking about sleep, stop bringing your mobile phone to bed. Stop scrolling on social media late at night. Just stopping that can have a hugely beneficial impact on your well-being. Getting outdoors in the morning and getting some blue light if you have a nice day It's a lovely day down here in Waterford. You know, that's blue light early in the morning is incredible for our circadian rhythm. You know, there's these small little changes, committing to become a little bit physically stronger at any age. I mean, I had, I'll just tell you this story. I had a guy, I rarely see him. He came into me to have his driving license renewed, the driving license form. About 6 months ago, I have a dumbbell in my office. It's there as a prop because I believe everything says something. And it's there really to stimulate conversation about the importance of being stronger and strength training. He came in. I had to do a double take because he looked so fresh. I mean, he was 83, but he really didn't look a day over 70 max. He stood behind me while I filled out the form, and he saw the dumbbell, reached down and went up and down and counted to 15. And then stood back and said, "Great to see you getting into the weight stock. I've been doing it for years myself." He's 83 years of age. It's fantastic. Yeah. And we're never too old. It's never too late. And if you take this as a little example, if you want to, fly to the south of Spain or Tenerife or the Canaries when you're 90 years of age, and you want to go through the airport on your own and carry your own luggage, isn't that a lovely idea? The possibility of that. Well, for that to become a reality, you need a strong frame. So that's the benefit of doing some strength training, and doing strength training even twice a week will strengthen your bones, support your memory, boost your mood, reduce your risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, a whole range of different things. And it's all about starting. I mean, if you're sitting at home there now, if you just take out, a bag of Autumn's flour or something and start lifting it up over your head, now you've started doing strength training. Okay, it's a very, very lightweight, but it's all about starting and letting go of this illusion of destructive illusion of the pursuit of perfection, or believing I'm never going to be good enough, or I'm too old, or it's too late. You're not. Your future self is emergent in every breath, literally. Our future has changed since before we started this conversation this morning. It's never too late.
Yeah, and the changes that, much of the changes you propose aren't drastic. They are light exercises, you mentioned, as a starter, because next thing you go, might use two bags of oats here. It's getting a bit easy for me. But trying to get good sleep, trying to clear your mind before you go to sleep, enjoying a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, connecting with other people. These aren't, to some extent, it's hard to believe we need a book to tell us some of this stuff, but we do. Many of us actually do. And as you're quite right, this is about, planning for your future.
It's planning for your future. And perhaps the best way that any of us can ever change is to accept yourself fully. I call it radical acceptance of the reality of where you are today. And really understanding that at a deep level, you are enough, that you don't need to change. That actually opens the door to making positive change. So it's not chasing perfection. It's really accepting yourself as you are, and now saying, well, if we were back here a year from now, what are the small little things I would like to have brought into my life? Would I like to value my relationships more over the next 12 months? Would I like to value my health more? Would I like to value my professional development more? What are the things that are important to me? Mm-hmm. And then what is the smallest thing I can start doing or stop doing today that gives me evidence that I'm moving in that direction? Robert Frost put it so well. He said, 2 paths diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the road less traveled, and it's made all the difference to me. And I'm talking about that road less traveled, that health enhancing path, a path of more peace and presence and purpose, a path of more gratitude and appreciation for the giftedness of life, a path of more connection that really enables you to be better and kinder to yourself and everyone that matters, and to really value your health and well-being along the way. I mean, it's really that simple.
Well, that's it too, because, you could be mistaken maybe the way I sort of introduce this, that we're talking of people maybe who have health issues, or maybe have anxiety or don't realise they have, or maybe need to make some positive changes. But often, I remember when I gave up smoking, the reason I gave up smoking, the actual reason is I went into my GP, and he did the lungs test and whatever, and he was very pleased with my lungs, and he says, your lung capacity is amazing. He says, it really is amazing. He's a runner. And he says, I wish I had your lung capacity. He might have been BSing me, I don't know. But anyway, it worked. He says, your lung capacity is amazing. I wish I had that, because with training and exercise, you could be doing this, that and done. So I left the GP and I thought, well, that's really positive, right? So maybe this is the time to stop doing something and try and retain and improve that. Because I could walk out of there in 3 years' time and he could say, you've got COPD, or your lung health is terrible, or we've spotted something. Do you know what I mean? So that was that was the trigger for me to make that lifestyle change. A positive piece of news to try and protect that.
Well, you're highlighting a really important issue when it comes to communication. Fear generally doesn't work. You know, if you had gone in, and well done by the way on stopping smoking, because for anyone smoking, it's never easy to stop, but the benefits can be immense. So well done on doing that. But if you had come in to me, for example, on that day, and I started taking the Grim Reaper approach and said, look, if you keep smoking, you're going to have COPD next week, or you've already got it, and blah, blah, blah. That could have really driven your anxiety and stress levels off the Richter scale. And as soon as you left the surgery, you might have said, give me a cigarette. So fear of things happening, sometimes it can help, but often it doesn't.
I'm not sure it does help very much at all, because I
don't think it does.
I think if you look around at the problems we have in society, the shock and awe is not working, the fear porn is not working.
I don't believe in it myself. I believe in, as you said, building a bridge to more positive change, mapping out a sort of more optimistic view of the future, and really being compassionate and caring and being helpful and being there as a support for people.
Okay.
And I actually can tell you, after being working in medicine now for well over 30 years, often what people want more than anything else is to be listened to, to be heard and to be valued, and not to be judged or lectured to or spoken down to.
Okay, Dr. Mark Rowe, I really appreciate your time. We're just up against the clock. Where is your book available? All the usuals, I'm sure.
All the usual, all good bookshops.
Okay.
And I'd be delighted if you could buy the book, and if you learn something useful in it, share it with someone else. That's how we spread these positive messages. Thanks so much for having me.
Take care. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Mark Rowe, author of the book. It's called Things Your Future Self Will Thank You For.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Are we there yet, Dad?
Not yet, honey.
Dad, are we there yet?
Not yet, no.
Are we there yet?
No, we're not there yet.
Dad.
I know. Are we there yet?
No. Are we lost, Dad?
I think so.
Should have gone to Specsavers. Book an eye test online.
Are you looking for a powerful, high-performance laptop? Think green and save big with Ben Sweeney Euronics. Discover refurbished Lenovo ThinkPads that look and feel like new, with Windows 11 pre-installed and a rock-solid 3-year warranty for total peace of mind. Why pay full price when you can save up to 70% and do your part for the planet by choosing sustainable tech? Find yours today at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
Making the move away from diesel? Don't get confused. Get excited at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Experience the power of choice. From our unrivaled hybrid range with no plugging in, to plug-in hybrids and the fully electric BZ4X, we have the right car for you. With incredible offers, including power-up boosters of up to €2,500, make the move at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our new season special occasion wear range is here. Visit us to explore our extensive dress collection in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, showers becoming more widespread this afternoon, and some of those showers will turn heavy with a chance of hail. Highest temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees in fresh westerly winds. I did run over a little, so I have to take one more quick break before we come back with the news at 11.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Whether they're on holiday, watching TV, eating a family meal.
Put it down.
It seems teenagers just refuse to put down their phones. But help is at hand.
Because Fundamania is in Derry.
Real thrills, real fun, outside in the fresh air.
Fundamania Derry at the Brunswick Movie Bowl from February 28th to March 17th.
Choose regular, junior or family wristbands. Turn screen time into scream time. Details at fundamania.co.uk.
You can have it all in 2025 with the new Nissan Qashqai with e-Power. Relaxation and excitement. Spacious and sleek. Safe, smooth, serene, and thrilling, adventurous, and of course efficient. Make 2025 a hybrid year with the new Nissan Qashqai with e-Power. Hybrid driving reinvented. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Join me, Marty Freel, this and every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny, the best family entertainment complex around with bowling, laser quest, soft play centre and more. Visit arena7.ie.
If you have a cough, flu, sore throat, or if you're just feeling miserable, don't suffer through it. At McGee's Chemist, we have the expertise to help you feel better. Our pharmacists and experienced staff will recommend the most effective over-the-counter solutions and give advice on how best to manage your symptoms. At McGee's, we have a wide range of trusted brands and products to help you recover. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Join us for the celebration of the year. Highland Radio is turning 35 and we're marking the occasion with an unforgettable birthday bash concert at the Mount Errigal Hotel. It's on Monday the 31st of March and it features the very best of country music with Dominic Kerwin, Jimmy Buckley, Michael English, Patrick Feeney, Hugo Duncan, Claudia Buckley, Connell Gallen and myself, David James, and my brand new band. Tickets are now on sale for only €30 online at highlandradio.com from hotel reception and all usual outlets. We'll see you for the Highland Radio Birthday Bash Monday the 31st of March.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it's 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update. And it's good morning once again to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The victim of a fatal workplace accident in Donegal has been named locally as Newton Cunningham man John Ralston. Mr. Ralston, who was in his 60s, was pronounced dead at the scene following the accident at around 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon in the Newton Cunningham area. Gardai and the Health and Safety Authority are continuing their investigations. Meanwhile, investigations are continuing into a crash in Killybegs in which a 5-year-old was seriously injured. The boy was struck by a car shortly before 5 o'clock on Friday evening last at Largay. He remains in hospital. 2 people have been injured in a hit and run between Port Hall and St Johnston on Sunday last. The 2-car collision occurred at around 3:20 in the afternoon at what is known locally as the Block of 5. The driver and passenger of one of the vehicles were injured while the driver of the other car fled the scene. Donegal County Council is being urged to investigate the potential of using a 3D printed homes to address the housing crisis in Donegal. Councillor Joy Beard told a special housing meeting that what seemed like science fiction a few years ago is now a potential way forward. She's asking officials to begin a research initiative, including liaising with Louth County Council, which has begun using the technology. Another spending controversy has arisen within the government, this time over a scanner which has never been used. The special X-ray machine was bought for over €120,000 back in 2017 for the National Gallery, but a suitable room still hasn't been found for it 8 years on. A teenager has been assaulted and robbed in Letterkenny. The male teenager was walking in the Upper Main Street area on Tuesday evening last at around 7:30 when he was set upon by two men near the foot of Church Lane. He managed to escape but was followed by one of the men who demanded he hand over his money. The two men then fled the scene on foot. Efforts are being made to establish his responsibility for access to Ballymacool House in Letterkenny. It's after the site was discovered laden with rubbish over the weekend, including household items and toys. Chairperson of Letterkenny Tidy Towns Committee, Gerard McCormick, says he will be holding discussions with Donegal County Council. And Garda in Donegal are warning of ongoing scam and fraud attempts. An email-based scam purporting to be from Garda Síochána is doing the rounds, while in another scam, a man received a letter recently from what is claimed to be a foreign solicitor's office, advising that he has been left a large sum of money from a recently deceased relative. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much, Michaela.
VHI Healthcare gives you and your family more. Get access to VHI Paediatric Clinic, urgent care, online doctor, and much more. Search VHI today and get 25% off kids on a range of plans. VHI, because your health means everything. See vhi.ie for range of plans. VHI Healthcare DAC trading as VHI Healthcare is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to VHI Insurance DAC for health insurance in Ireland.
Now, I can't believe I'm actually having to mention this to you, but I've been asked to from Charles McClafferty Funeral Directors. There are the most disgusting people that will exploit absolutely anything. And there is a fake Facebook page doing the rounds, and it is purporting to show the funeral service of baby Danny, who we talked about a little later on. Now, some horrible people, and unfortunately, what they actually do is they clone or make up pages on tragedies that seem to get the most public interaction, and that's how they try and scam people out of it. If you see it, obviously, do not. They're sending friend requests out. Do not respond to it. If any services like that are available, you'll see them on our Facebook pages, or you'll see them directly, our obituary pages, or you'll see them directly on funeral directors' pages. In this case, Charlie McClafferty. There's no charge ever for these services. Please don't click in it, but please do me a favour. If you see these, there's 3 dots that are beside message. Report them. Report them, because they need to be taken down, because people are grieving and sad, and this is an absolute disgrace. So I don't want to compound any sadness, but I hope people understand my motivation for highlighting this. It's really important that A, you don't respond to these pages, but B, please report them. But also be sympathetic to those who may share links, because they do change the links. So they might entrap people into liking a page for something else, right? And then they change the name of the page and the images. So don't have goes at each other, because these scammers are scamming everybody. So just please really be careful of that. And all of these pages that purport to provide a stream link that you pay for, please don't accept friend requests, but also report them to Facebook for all that's worth. Hopefully it is worth something to get them taken down just as soon as is possible. Okay, listen, thank you for letting us know about that, and we're pleased to be able to get that information in the hope that that page will be taken down as soon as is possible. 086 60 25,000, that is our WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. I'm actually getting a scam call here now from Belgium. Let's see what it has to say here. One sec. Is there anything to say? Hello?
Hello, may I speak with Greg?
Yes, speaking. What's the story?
Nice to have you on the call. This is Felicia Conti. I am contacting you from blockchain support team regarding a Bitcoin account that you have with us.
All right, I have a blockchain account with you. What's the story?
Well, you have an existing account which is compromised, or said that in simple words, frozen.
Yeah.
Due to your inactivity and some flagged transactions, some people trying to gain access to your account, We've been advised to inform you that is at risk of getting blocked if not reactivated soon, resulting in you losing your funds and also your personal information being stolen and misused.
All right.
Would you like to have a look at it, to check it, so that you can take the decision either or not you want to proceed further?
What do I have to do?
We can hold a Google meeting together. We can provide you with your wallet ID. You're going to go and check it on the official website of blockchain.
All right, okay. Well, we'll set up a Google Meet meeting maybe if it's. I don't want to lose the money.
Okay, you're not going to lose the money, sir.
Oh, thank
You're
God.
just going to see them.
All right, I
Is
thought.
it Greg?
Yeah.
Your current email address.
And can I ask? Can I just ask a question if you don't mind? Are you sure this isn't a scam?
Sir, I'm not asking you to believe my words. I'm telling you that you can check your account on your own. You are going to believe what you are going to see.
So I go to your website. But what if you?
The difference on your own.
But what if you created? What if you created this fake account and then I think there's money in it when I don't have a blockchain account? Is that possible?
No, Greg, that is not possible, unfortunately. You can even be provided with your wallet ID, with your.
All right, but it sounds like a scam to me. It sounds like you're trying to scam me.
I don't really care how it sounds to you, Greg. I am telling you that you can check your account. If you want to check your account, that is totally up on you.
Yeah, I do feel they're trying to scam me, though.
I don't think you're taking this. However you want. Have a nice.
Oh, I've upset her. Oh, my bad. Sorry about that. All right, I think we can say good morning to Adrian Weckler, who's technology editor with the Irish Independent, Sunday Independent. Are you there, Adrian?
I am, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. You don't have a blockchain account in my name somewhere, do you know?
Oh, well, I was going to tell you later on. But
set up a Google Meets meeting.
We can talk about it. If you can open up a Google Docs sheet there, I can talk you through it.
Okay, but I will only do that if I can hand my entire access to my computer over to you, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I was going to say that anyway.
Okay, we'll get to that later. Hey, technology is advancing all of the while. And an interesting development potentially, Apple's AirPod Pro 2, potentially to be able to use as hearing aids. I suppose this sounds like a natural progression, but it still seems quite remarkable, Adrian.
Yeah, so this is really just an indication of where the technology has moved. So a lot of people will know that with their earbuds, if you bought earbuds in the last year or two, often they will come what's called a transparency mode. And that means that it's using the microphones on the actual the earpods themselves. Because don't forget, you can make calls. You've been able to make calls and use them for voice commands for a long time, and that's because they have little microphones in them. And the same technology is used, for example, for noise cancellation process. So therefore, it reverses the frequencies. But anyway, you combine all of that together, and what Apple has done with the AirPods Pro 2 is that it will give you a hearing test on your iPhone. A series of beeps, short beeps, about 3 or 4 minutes in each ear. And then based on the results of that, it will tailor the amount of noise or the amplification of the noise going in through the AirPods to cater for different levels of hearing loss. Now, just to be clear about this is for mild or moderate hearing loss. This is not for somebody, who has a very, very serious issue and can't hear loud noises at all or anything like that. This is for someone who keeps having to ask people, sorry, could you just repeat that again? Or I didn't quite catch that. It's that kind of level, okay? So it's Apple's AirPods Pro 2. So it's only those AirPods. It's not the basic AirPods. It's only the flagship model. But even still, the flagship model costs €279, which is kind of pricey for earbuds, but it's nothing compared to the price of a hearing aid, which is, 1, 2, 3, 4,000 euro.
And you know what might be interesting here is that it might sort of disrupt the market a little bit. I think that's a positive turn of phrase in that for moderate or minor hearing loss or unequal hearing, the hearing aid companies who perhaps have been able to charge whatever they like because this super duper technology that they have, right? That there's not a ton of people in that market. Hopefully, it might end up sort of disrupting that market and driving prices down.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple of things we should say about this.
Mm.
So there is a difference still between a clinical hearing aid
Yeah.
and AirPods Pro 2. So the biggest difference, I think, is, other than the fact that these are only aimed at mild to moderate hearing loss, is the actual aesthetic and the actual physical thing of an AirPod versus the hearing aid. So, like, while in some ways it might be preferable to wear an AirPod from your own sort of self-image point of view compared to a hearing aid, maybe you're a little bit sensitive about being thought, to be seen as someone who needs a hearing aid. At the same time, hearing aids are very, very small,
Yeah.
and they're kind of almost invisible, certainly from a distance away. AirPods are not. And there's an issue, I think, maybe a generational issue, where if you're using these as a regular hearing aid, you're now going to be talking to people with AirPods in your ears.
Mm.
Now, Apple kind of believes that that's normal, and that, you know, they sort of point to Gen Z people who leave their AirPods in their ears for half the day, and they say that this is a normal thing, societally accepted. I'm not sure that if you're at an advanced age, if you're middle-aged or older, I'm not sure that your sense of politeness allows for you to be going into a room and sitting down with people with AirPods.
Yeah,
in your
it
ears.
is interesting because there are different groups of people. Because, you know, I know from experiences in my family, Adrian, that, you know, it was clear that certain people's hearing had diminished, but they would not go and get their hearing checked. Whereby they might have stuck these in as if, well, I'm kind of just listening to music. And I get where you're coming from, but I just wonder how many people are walking around with poor hearing that don't want to go to a doctor, don't want to someone poke around their ears, and actually will self-medicate with this type of technology. Like they're definitely going to have a market anyway, Adrian, for right or wrong.
Yeah, no, for sure. And look, you know, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that you've got probably the best set of earbuds on the market. So, I mean, you've got your music, your podcasts, you know, listening to calls. They're even good as noise cancellation. I know we're talking about hearing loss, ironically, but like these are actually decent noise cancellation devices as well. No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there's definitely a place in the market for these, for people who don't think of themselves as people who have hearing aids or who don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
Because again, if you go to an audiologist, you know, a medical service, to get your hearing tested, they will recommend to you something for $2,500 almost every time. And now you can get grants for that, but you know, it's a lot of money, and they're kind of small and they're fiddly, and the batteries usually last probably maybe a week, maybe sometimes 2 weeks, and they're regular batteries, so you have to throw them out afterwards, whereas the AirPods are rechargeable. But obviously the AirPods have to be recharged every 4 or 5 hours. So if you're the type of person who needs this all day, then you're going to have to be taking them out of the box and recharging them for 20-30 minutes each time. So there are pros and cons. The massive pro is they're way cheaper. As you have pointed out, in situations like your family situation, they may be more socially comfortable or more acceptable.
Yeah, I can see people sitting in the cinema with them, or at a play, or at a function, even if they have to reference why they're there, because they don't want them
really
all the time.
That's a really interesting, whatever about the cinema, that's a really interesting one in a play, right? Because if you go to a theatre, say if it's a community play, and it's somebody that everybody knows on stage, and if they don't know that you are using the AirPods as a hearing aid, I don't know. I kind of think, well,
but Adrian, I don't think anyone cares about anybody else's feelings anymore.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I get where you're coming from, and sometimes we can all be a little bit too caught up in thinking what people think. But I think that if you sit down, I think if I were to have a conversation with you, if I had met you in a while, and I had a big pair of headphones on, and I didn't take the headphones off when I was talking to you, I think you would legitimately think, Adrian's been a little bit rude there.
And it might be the same too if we were sitting inside and you had a pair of sunglasses on.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I couldn't see your
or
eyes. It might feel impersonal.
This is one my wife talks about all the time. If you go to someone's house and you don't take your coat off,
quite
similar.
All right. Okay. So we'll see. They will definitely find a market. I just want, there's a couple of, I can see the pushback here. Firstly, why would you hearing deteriorate? Maybe it's listening to headphones too loud for a prolonged period of time. And also too, maybe the experts might say that this is not actually fixing the problem, it can compound it. That's all going to start the battle for the public minds in relation to this. But Apple is so big, right? They've got so many devices in people's pockets. They're going to do all right. This is a great selling element for it. And Adrian, it's going to help some people.
Yeah, look, exactly. Look, this is not for... Those points are valid about earphones and headphones are contributors to hearing damage. But like getting old is a contributor to hearing damage. I mean, like your eyes and your ears, generally speaking, deteriorate over the course of your lifetime. So it's a matter of the degree to which earphones or headphones or going to loud concerts or having the TV up too loud or anything else. You can ascribe a lot of causes to deterioration of your hearing. But look, if these things can help some people at an affordable price, then it's probably worth looking at.
Yeah, for sure. Indeed. Ironically, though, I'm starting to see more of a trend for over-ear headphones. I don't know about you, Adrian. You're down in London, Dublin, I suppose. I think you are, Adrian. I'm seeing more over-ear ones.
The overhead headphones, I would have been aware of overhead headphones quite a lot a couple of years ago. I've since kind of cooled off a little bit on it, but I do see a lot of people wearing overhead headphones. I think there's a social thing going on there. I think that's people saying to the rest of the world, don't bother me, I'm closed off. And I don't like that idea for myself. It's for other people, that's fine, but I don't like that idea.
I agree, Adrian. Thank you so very much for your time. That is Adrian Weckler there, technology editor with the Irish Independent, Sunday Independent. Would you wear them? I think some people have an imbalance in their hearing, and they favour one ear over the other. And for some people, I think it would be a bigger step to get hearing aids, which I don't believe it should be. I'm just trying to observe, right? Than it might be to wear these earpods, and God, maybe they'll come in skin colours, I don't know, rather than wear these earpods in a public environment. It's interesting to see. A caller says it's socially acceptable to wear glasses. It should be just as acceptable to wear hearing aids, both as sensory aids. I don't think anyone judges anyone on hearing aids, but I think that people themselves avoid getting them or kick the can down the road because they perceive that it's seen as something or other. I don't think someone could come in here with 10 hearing aids sellotaped to the forehead and it wouldn't put me up or down if it improved their life. But I think people think that society treats them. We spend far more time thinking what people think of us than the people actually do thinking of you, if you know what I mean. There's a disproportion there. Is it true that Apple or some company has a patent to read brain waves while using pods? What makes you happy, sad, angry, etc.? Or was that just fake? I never heard tell of that, to be honest with you. Someone's probably patented it. Enjoyed Greg's conversation with Belgium. Had 3 or 4 calls from Belgium last week. What amuses me about them, I probably could have teased it out a little bit longer, is they're sitting in a room somewhere scamming you, and they take offence that you might actually question them on it. I don't care. If you don't want to, who cares? You know what I mean? But I had Adrian waiting. I could have teased that out a little bit longer, but I had Adrian waiting, and I didn't want to keep him waiting too much longer. But she's upset that I'm pulling her up on it. Sorry, love. I'd love to have a blockchain account, though. Hi, Greg. That is a common thing on Facebook. This is the people that are trying to scam people out of money by purporting to share a link to a streaming service for a funeral. This is a common thing on Facebook. When a tragedy, a lad died in Australia, I received 5 different friend requests to view the service in Australia, all were fake accounts, and each of them used the deceased person's profile pictures. It's sad when this happened. It's such a bad time for the families. It is, and the reason it's so important that we report it is, as you see, they will. If you notice the pages have 1,000 friends or something, you go, how could they have 1,000 friends? They're adding friends all the time, but also they will then change the profile picture and the banner picture to try and to scam people, but also to drive more hurt and pain into the families of the deceased. Greg, how did you know your name coming in from a texter? Oh, well, you see, information is leaked. I've no doubt my number and email has been leaked somewhere with some of these companies. You know those big leaks that happen and they say, 50,000 customers have been affected. I'm sure my email address and my telephone number and my name have been leaked at some point from, I don't know, mega storage services or a antiviral software service. That's just unfortunately the way it is now. So that's how she got my email address, my name, and my number. What does Mark think of wellness TikTok? That was Mark the doctor. Wellness TikTok, if it matters what I think, it can be fine, but it also can be incredibly exploitative, and particularly as it relates to young people's mental health, some of it's very, very dangerous. Does Mark believe that we should all be on vitamin D from October till April? I don't know what Mark might say to that, but if you're getting it out all year round, you'll be getting you'll be feeling better. I agree with him. When I had anxiety in the menopause, I found getting out to nature amazing. Well, that's good. Simple too, isn't it? That's the type of stuff in the book. A lot of it is about go to the gym 3 days a week, completely change your eating habits. All of that really, really good. But a lot of what's in his book is stuff that is, relatively simple lifestyle changes that might make an impact. If you call revenue or any government agency in Irish, you'll have your call answered right away, but about an hour wait otherwise. Is that 100% true? That could be something that someone says, and I'm not questioning that caller's experience. Maybe that happened to them, but is it the case? Is it the case that you get? It is the case, is it? Yeah. So if you ring, sorry, Shannon speaks Irish here. Or speaks Gaelic. So Shannon, you're saying that if you call up and press button 1 to speak us Gaelic, your call's answered more quickly. All right. Okay. So there you go. And rightly so. Rightly so. Does the council still build houses if you have a site? That's a tough. That came up a couple of years ago. It comes up from time to time. There was calls for it to be reintroduced. Do they? I don't think they do. Someone out there might. Out of interest, Greg, was that sheepdog attack survey an All Ireland survey? It was, but they're from Monaghan, right? And what happened is that it's not an official survey. It's a farming family whose very valuable sheep were attacked by a dog, and they just spread it out in the farming community. How far it reached, I presume nationwide, but they aren't a government organisation or a body. They were a family, and they got a great response. Almost over 500 farming families responded. 73% said they had sheep attacked by dogs, and now they're doing a bigger survey, which is on our Facebook page. My wife, who cares for her 2 parents with dementia, has been told she's not eligible for fuel allowance because she's not on the full carers rate. Why is it so hard to get support in this country? It is not fair. And do you know what else is not fair? Pre-election talk of not means testing carers, and then nothing really seeming to come of it. That's what's really unfair. And everyone was promising it. And next thing you know, it's, we'll look at it. Next thing you know, it's a review. Next thing you know, it'll be over the next 5 years. That was a big thing in the run-up to the election. And people wonder why there's support for a Donald Trump-style character who is seen to, whether he does or not, go in and make changes, because they're conditioned to sort of not see the impacts that are promised often, in the run-up to election. But anyway, it is what it is.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
If you need an eye test, look no further than Louis Walsh Opticians. Letterkenny's longest established opticians are delighted to welcome patients new and old to their state-of-the-art practice in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Their latest technology includes a 3D OCT retinal camera which assesses the health of your eyes in minutes. Private, medical card and PRSI patients welcome. Call 91 21000 to arrange your eye test.
Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny. Your vision, our focus.
Are you on the hunt for a reliable car that offers exceptional value for money? At iMotors, we have a huge range of 2024 nearly new Nissan models available. Whether it's petrol, hybrid or fully electric, Nissan has a 2024 model that suits your lifestyle. All our nearly new Nissans come with low mileage and are prepared by our expert team. Visit us today at imotors.ie to find out more.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Are you looking for a university that's more than just a place to study?
At ATU, you'll enjoy a vibrant student life, exciting career opportunities, and a supportive community every step of the way.
Join ATU's Open Day on the Letterkenny campus on Saturday, the 1st of March from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Get expert tips for Leaving Certificate students from Donegal Mahoney, along with special talks for parents and sessions on health and wellbeing.
Come along and see how you can be part of it all. Visit atu.ie/opendays.
ATU, your future is here.
Fast track your interest with PTSB's Interest First Fixed Term Deposit Account. The only deposit account in Ireland that gives you your interest upfront within the first month of opening your account. And with the peace of mind that your savings are secure for the future, it all comes together for a banking experience that's altogether more human. PTSB. Book an appointment today. Personal customers only. Early withdrawal and closure fees apply. Minimum deposit of €5,000 required. Terms and conditions apply. Permanent TSB PLC, trading as PTSB, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 11:28 and I'm joined in studio by Russell Padmore, presenter and creator of a documentary entitled The Impact of Pirate Radio. Good morning to you, Russ. How are you getting on? Russell or Russ?
Both, actually. After I left Pirate Radio here, I ended up being Russell. I went to the BBC. I remember a very prim and proper presenter when I became a newsreader continuity announcer at the BBC World Service. Oh, we're having none of this Ross round here. I'm afraid it's Russell. So it became Russell for many years.
Ironically, when I started down at Northwest Radio, I was advised to go from Gregory to Greg. Because Gregory sounds like I remember the gentleman saying it doesn't sound like you can even say your own name correctly. How are other people going to get their head around it?
I became Ross Padmore when I came to Ireland back in the early to mid 1980s when I first came over to work on a radio station in Waterford. Then I went to I was on ABC in Waterford, Radio West in Mullingar, and then I came up to Donegal.
Why did you come up here?
Well, the family's from Derry, so I decided after a couple of years my time in Irish radio was over and done with. And remember, these are the pirate radio days. Now, the odd thing is, and I still don't know exactly how it happened, but I was in my uncle's flat in Derry when another uncle comes round and says, "Oh, I suppose you've come up here because some boys are starting a radio station in Buncrana." So I just dismissed it. I thought, no, I'm headed back to radio in London or wherever next, but on to the next phase of my career as a man in my 20s. And out of nosiness, I went down to Buncrana, met the guys who were starting this station. It was above a jeweller's shop on the main street in Buncrana. Jackie Crossan was the jeweller, who still has a jewellery shop there. And amazingly, they found that I knew so much about radio, having worked in London, been in the US, but particularly I'd come from London and then on a couple of stations down south in Waterford and Mullingar. It surprised me that they kind of didn't know that much about radio. So they've said to me, "Would you like to stay on and help us for a while?" So I thought, yeah, I'll do a couple of weeks with them. Anyway, 2 years later, I was still there in Buncrana. And that was followed by, I left Buncrana. I went to manage Radio North in Correndona. The radio station in Buncrana was NWCR, which a lot of older listeners may remember as Northwest Community Radio. It had a huge listenership. When we started, we were the only station. There were no other stations. We had the entire Northwest to ourselves, apart from the part-time BBC Radio Foyle in Derry that was only on a few hours a day. So we kind of swept the board. And you can imagine, say, I don't know, perhaps 500,000 people listening. We never did audience research surveys.
I think a lot of people, and this is why documentaries like this are amazing, because even though it's recent history, may not realise that when we talk about pirate radio stations or community radio stations, for an example, that the scale of these operations, the reach, there were commercial entities too.
Yes, they were businesses. That's the bottom line. They initially, I suppose, there was a lot of amateurish operations, which I do cover in the documentary. There are 3 episodes. We'll get around to it in the episodes. The first episode is Wednesday evening, just after the 8 o'clock news, and then the following Wednesday and the Wednesday after that. And I spoke to people who worked on these very amateurish, enthusiastic amateurs running radio stations at festivals like the Merry from Dunlow Festival. That all came to an end. There was a radio station. A guy I spoke to was on one in Mount Charles. It came to an end very
That would have
quickly
been
as
Glencoe
well.
Radio? No,
No,
was
it was
more,
before Glencoe
lasted,
Radio.
yeah,
Now,
Glencoe lasted a bit
amazingly,
longer,
over the years, there are a lot of radio stations called Radio Donegal or Donegal Community Radio.
Yeah.
So it was a very familiar name. People would start a new operation like that. But I then left both Buncrana and Correndon. I left Radio North, and then I set up my own station in Donegal Town.
So what
KTOK.
year was that?
That would have been 87 when KTOK started. So we had a couple of years run. The government eventually decided to issue licences, hence Highland Radio have the licence.
So how long was KTOK on air for?
2 years, two and a bit years.
Right, it feels much longer.
Yeah.
And I seem to think at the time that it was broadcast on FM, wasn't it?
Yeah, that FM was newish in those days. Ireland had been very much
to
medium
FM,
wave and AM.
Radio 2, RT Radio 2 was on medium wave at that time.
Yes, and RT Radio 1.
Yes, but in terms sort of comparable playlists, maybe.
Yes.
So you had RT2 FM as it is now on crackly old media wave, and then you had this station above was it a fast food joint at that time? Well,
it was basically in the Castle Centre opposite the courthouse in Donegal Town, just around the corner from the Diamond, and it was next door to an insurance office. So we were running, compared to other radio stations in the past, like when I'd first joined ABC in Waterford a few years earlier, they had just moved from a caravan in Tramore into Waterford city centre. So radio was becoming much more professional. Even though it was unlicensed and in theory it was illegal to broadcast, you could carry on broadcasting. The government kind of turned a blind eye to it, thinking we'll bring in a licensing situation at some stage, but they didn't throughout the whole 1980s. So suddenly these radio stations had become very professional. We were running, particularly the stations I ran, I insisted they were proper businesses and tried to adhere to whatever international standards and rules that there would be. I remember at Northwest Community Radio, actually, one of the owners there, who's since died, Hugo Boyce, he basically approached me one day and he said, I don't like this, you're making it sound too professional, you're making us like the BBC and RTE. He was very unhappy with that. But the radio stations had a huge impact on both sides of the border to communities. We had a situation that with such a large listenership, suddenly you were influencing communities, you were influencing the music industry. Now, Daniel O'Donnell is a great example. In the documentary, you will hear Daniel O'Donnell freely admitting he owes his success and his career to pirate radio.
Pirate radio was very important for me because I kind of started the same time as the pirate radios were coming on stream. I had recorded my Donegal Shore and Stand Beside Me in 1983. Then I made an album with Ritz Records about 85, and that was really when the pirate radios were at their height.
You came into the radio station that I was managing in Buncrana, and I noticed slowly but surely there were more requests for effectively what was a Donegal record. Was that really the start that gave the big boost?
Oh, absolutely. My Donegal Shore was very, very, very instrumental in me getting my foot on the ladder, so to speak. And it was played non-stop on the pirate radio stations, Ironside and NWCR.
Fascinating stuff, Russ. And I think, too, to some extent, and it still is the case today, and I think particularly in local radio, is that it's a very much a positive two-way relationship. The better quality local music you have, and then, of course, the platform in which to play it. They cross-pollinate very well.
Well, this is the whole point. To differentiate a local station from the national station, you can have local voices. People said to me, and ignore my South of England accent, despite my Irish background, people said these are local voices with local accents. Now, interestingly, I do remember that NWCR in Buncrana was nicknamed by the people in Derry, and remember the audience was much bigger for the Derry people listening. They nicknamed it Radio Buncrana, largely because the presenters sounded in a slightly wee different accent. They were from Donegal and they were from Buncrana, but it became nicknamed Radio Buncrana. Now, the station I eventually started, KTOK, that was very slick. It was top 40 pop music. We didn't play that much country music because we had a rival station, Glencoe, which I don't mean to sound high-handed, but was run in a very amateurish way. But people were not professional broadcasters there, so they didn't have that experience, which I had the advantage of. And so by being able to control the format like American radio stations do, I would have the playlist of records. So the presenters didn't have as much of a free choice, so they couldn't play what they wanted. And what I was trying to do was create a station that had a certain sound. So if you tuned up the band and you found KTOK, you knew it was KTOK before someone said that to you.
Is it true that it was called KTOKs because you had a package of jingles called KTOK?
Yeah, the original station was an American one. It was in Denver, the Mile High City. And so all that happened was I just took that jingle package. I had a choice of many jingle packages.
Of
I
course,
thought about calling the radio station Atlantic. I could have called it Radio Northwest, even though there were quite a lot of things. It was, I thought KTOK rolled off the tongue. I was going to call it ABC, but the guys from Waterford, who I'd worked for previously, kind of objected to that because they thought at the national level, when you're trying to get commercials from agencies which are providing, I don't know, Ford, let's say, Ford Motor Cars, etc., that might confuse them. So I thought, yes, perhaps I shouldn't do that. But all they did in Waterford was took the New York station, WABC, and just edited the W off and created their own jingles.
I love it. And these stories actually, they belie really the professionalism of a lot of these stations and what have you, as you mentioned. John Cutliff messages in to say, myself and Richard Crowley were the first two voices on pirate radio in Ireland on Radio Donegal in the late 70s. My name on there was John Barry. And Tommy Rosney, who works here now, obviously, also worked for them there. See, I kind of listened to these stations, but I didn't realise in my naivety, and it's always best to be honest, that you had been drawing national ads, that they were really run quite as professional as they were and playlisted, certainly the ones that you were involved in, Russell. So then when it came to the official licensing, like, did you have ambitions in that regard? Because
yes.
We have to say the network of local radio stations now very much stands on the shoulders and the foundations built by pirate radio stations right across the country, not least here in County Donegal.
Yeah, a few of the local stations that were pirates did actually get a license. I put a consortium together to apply for a license for what was known as North Donegal. Perhaps I should have done South Donegal because of the fact that I'd been based in Donegal town and had listeners as far away as Sligo. But I decided North Donegal was a greater population and therefore a much more viable business. And I actually nicknamed it in my mind, and I don't think I've ever said this much publicly, but I nicknamed the area the Golden Triangle from the point of view, if you were broadcasting to Derry, Strabane and Letterkenny, never mind everywhere else in the show in West Donegal, you definitely had a population base that could support a business. And so I thought North Donegal is the one to go for. Now, I have to be careful about what I say because there was corruption involved. We know that via various tribunals. The communications minister actually went to jail. The national license, which was given to Century Radio, that station collapsed. Its replacement station, which was known as Radio Ireland originally, was in trouble. They had to change the rules to allow that station to continue. So there was a lot of political interference happened. And it's typical of Ireland, I suppose, in many ways. There are many questions about corruption. And indeed, I haven't looked into the background of Highland Radio. A lot of radio stations have changed hands since then anyway, so some people had the license taken off them. It's fascinating to realise that we were kind of copying something that had happened in the UK in the 1960s. You have to go back to a time, let's say the 50s and 60s, before the pirate radio ships, and people might have seen the film Radio Rock, which is basically based around Radio Caroline and Big L or Radio London. Now, those stations, there was, let's say, 8 or 10 different ships around the coast of the UK. There were 2 Radio Caroline ships. One was off the coast of the Isle of Man, so therefore it's heard widely across Ireland. So many people know Radio Caroline from that. Now, in the documentary, I speak to Tony Blackburn, the veteran BBC DJ, who obviously was there when they disrupted the media by having all these radio stations. He worked on Radio Caroline and then Radio London, and eventually became the first voice on BBC Radio 1, and he's still with the BBC today. He basically was quite honest with me. I asked him about his Radio Caroline days, and he kind of wanted to be a singer rather than a DJ.
I heard about Radio Caroline. I wanted to get into singing, actually, and I thought by becoming a DJ, they might get into near the record business and start singing, which actually worked, you know. And I made it 29 singles and 2 albums, which none of them sold very well. And I remember going out on the first day on the tender boat from Harwich and seeing this little ship bobbing around in the North Sea and thinking it's giving the politicians so many problems. And I thought, I'm going to be a part of this. Fabulous.
How much did those radio stations broadcasting from ships in the North Sea then really disrupt the situation, disrupt the broadcasting industry?
Well, it completely revolutionised it. Radio Caroline came along, then Big L Radio London. That was the one that I eventually joined, and that was the one that really, it was an American format, and I still use the same American format today.
And if you ever read his autobiography, he actually claims to have introduced the time check.
Yeah, well, he was very much influenced.
Yeah.
He did tell me outside of the interview when we were talking for a long time afterwards. You have to remember, because I worked so long at the BBC, I knew all the studios, I knew how to access him via his agent, and so we did have a very long chat outside of the interview, and he kind of admitted to me that Radio Caroline and particularly Radio London sent the DJs over to the US to listen to the stations there, to learn from American radio so it could be applied here in Europe, and it did work very well. So I would argue about the time check, unless of course you're putting a commercial around it, because
Well,
I would say it's done long before then.
I know, but as I say, also, like, Tony Blackburn is incredibly influential and an amazing man, but he's fully aware of that.
Yes, yeah. The fascinating thing.
So, and why not? You know,
yeah.
He's brilliant.
He did say to me that in the 80s, because we had the explosion of radio here, so many radio stations on air, he said the fascinating thing was that pirate radio from the ships had died out in the UK. Radio Caroline continued for as long as it could and then came back again, operating off the coast of the Netherlands. But he said that a lot of English or British broadcasters were fascinated by what was going on in Ireland, so many land-based pirates copied the Irish scene in the UK, which led eventually from the late 80s into the 90s of more licensed radio stations in the UK and across the border, of course, as well. There's a network of stations there that only came about because of the land-based pirates in the UK who were copying the Irish pirates, who in turn have been copying the British pirates, who in turn, actually, I should explain, which comes out in the documentary, that a lot of people think, oh, Radio Caroline, Radio London, Swinging Radio England, they were all the big rage in the 60s. But in actual fact, it was pirate boats off the Scandinavian coast in Sweden and Denmark, which were the original sea-based pirates. And that's where, for example, the Irishman Ronan O'Reilly, who had started Radio Caroline, he got the idea from there. And so you could see that there was lots of copying going on, and originally everyone was copying the American radio stations, and hence KTOK, a very American-sounding station in Donegal Town.
Yeah, for sure. I can actually still, to some extent, reel off in my head the jingles. That's how impactful they were. There's a lot in this documentary, you know, and an awful lot of the conversation nowadays is about the viability of radio because of, you know, competition in the advertising market from social media and websites and what have you. Newspapers know exactly how that feel. They dominated that space, didn't they? There are those that invested in pirate radio, which we don't hear from too often, that you have access to as well.
Well, the fascinating thing is that it's a business. Yes, we think of it as entertainment, people listening to interviews like this, local subjects, local issues, but also there's the news and then there's the music of the station. But ultimately, they have to get money in to run as a business, hence it's whether it's running concerts or other activities which are revenue raising, or it's about advertising, but they are businesses. And I look at the business side of it too. Now, when I started KTOK, and this maybe should have occurred to me more at the time, I was putting my life savings into starting a radio station, but the situation was that I was starting a business at a very bad time in Ireland. The economy had tanked. In the documentary, you'll hear the then Taoiseach, Charles Haughey, talking about how bad things were. He went on nationwide TV to tell the nation, basically, you know, there's not enough money about. This was a time of mass immigration. This was a time of large unemployment. Now, interestingly, these radio stations, like mine, we were actually providing employment, and therefore we became a conduit for businesses to advertise on locally. If you were running, I don't know, let's say a kitchen fitting business somewhere in Donegal, you couldn't get on RTE, you couldn't pay for it.
And to some extent, it's still the same. I mean, there's a remarkable statistic that 50% of people in Donegal, an off-franchise area that listen to radio, only listen to Highland Radio. And I think the most successful local radio stations haven't really forgotten their pirate roots. Not that this station is necessarily rude, but you know where I'm coming from.
Yes.
Those stations, the stations that try and compete with the national scene are the stations, if you look at the figures, that are struggling. Because what makes you a local radio station? It's your connection with the local community, it's local voices, it's supporting local music, it's local news. Sure. Other than that, just listen to Spotify. That's all you have, really.
But you have to look at the rules as well. The Commission Naman, as it is today, the original Broadcasting Authority of Ireland, they put rules down. If you're going to be a local station, you have to have X amount of, just as we're doing now, talk radio, news, current affairs, etc. So if you're going to do current affairs, do something local. You could just do a national story, but this is the whole point. There are rules and regulations around that, and this is why I've often thought to myself, Highland Radio is getting away with something because it doesn't have competition. Back in the pirate radio days, there were at least 6 radio stations in Donegal which had audience across the border as well.
Our competition is Spotify. Our competition is Facebook. Our competition is Donegal Daily. Our competition is iRadio.
Yeah.
Our competition is 2FM.
The social media world has moved on. There is different competition. But if you look at it, I remember the newspapers complained at the time. The Derry Journal was very anti-NWCR in Buncrana because the newspapers thought that we're taking advertising away from them, which eventually turned out that advertisers would put their money into both. You need a newspaper advertisement because you can say more in that than you can in a 20 or 30 second spot on the radio.
The paper's sitting on the coffee table.
Yes.
All right, brilliant stuff. There's political voices in there as well. Gregory Campbell, Mark Durkin. It covers the whole gambit. It's over 3 Wednesdays. The first tomorrow after the 8 o'clock news. It's fascinating because most people listening to this station listen to pirate radio, and if you didn't, it's interesting for you to understand how radio really began in this county and this country. It's on every Wednesday night thereafter. It's available to podcast as well. I'm looking forward to it, Russ, and I'm sure many people listening are, in fact, judging by the messages coming in fact, I know they are.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating thing to produce the documentary. You have to remember, from my personal perspective, it was a trip down memory lane, and I learned or relearned things that I'd kind of forgotten about, and it was great from that perspective. And also, you have to remember that I wasn't around in the 1970s or late or very early 80s when the radio stations were very amateurish, operating from caravans, operating for just a few days, and it was fascinating for me to learn that as well. I knew the international and the national picture and the big stations that were there in Dublin, Radio Nova, Sunshine Radio. Radio Nova was so huge at one stage, it had listenership in the north of England, and it was really winding up RTE. So we disrupted the media and we brought about the current situation.
But also, as listeners, there wasn't much there, so you hunted it out. You hunted out stuff that you could find. You know, you put aerials in strange places because you heard a bit of a station and you liked it. Now we're spoiled a little bit. Okay, Russell Padmore, presenter and creator. Listen to his documentary after the 8 o'clock news, part 1, The Impact of Pirate Radio.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Open your future by attending Northwest Regional College Open Days. This is the opportunity to visit your local campus and tour the fabulous facilities, sample the college experience and apply for your course. Running from 12 noon each day, beginning 25th of February, Strabane campus, 26th of February, Strand Road and Springtown campuses, and 27th of February, Limavady and Greystone campuses. Register online to attend for your chance to win a high-spec laptop. Northwest Regional College Open Days. From here to career.
Heading off on holiday? Don't forget to park to relax. Travelling for business? Well, then just park to work. Flying for a city break? Simply park to explore. No matter where you're going, you'll find safe, secure shuttle parking just 6 minutes from the airport at Dublin's newest airport car park, Park 2 Travel. Visit park2travel.ie now to book your space from March 10th, and then simply park to go. Park2travel.ie. For when you need to park to, well, travel.
Visit Century Complex for a perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play, hours of fun in Century Golf, and lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing romantic comedies like the new Bridget Jones and Mad About the Boy. Get in touch on 074 9121 or visit centurycinemas.ie for more information.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gidor. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gidor. 07495 32575.
Enjoy real savings this week at SuperValue. Like SuperValue Fresh Irish Sirloin Steak, now better than half price. Scan your card or app and get Nestle Cheerios, now €3. Fairy Non-Bio and Ariel 3-in-1 Pods 58 piece, now €10. And pick up Cushell Toilet Tissue 12 roll, now €9. Make real savings every week at SuperValue.
Relay for Life Donegal is back and is now open for team registration. As a community, we relay together to celebrate cancer survivorship, remember those we've lost and fight back by raising awareness. Will you join us? Gather your friends and family and enter your team. Register today at DonegalRelayForLife.com. Together, we can make a difference.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
At Volkswagen, we've really got to know the people of Ireland. 75 years of understanding what you love, how you live, who you are, and the life you lead. So we've brought you one much-loved car after another. From the original Beetle, the iconic Golf, to today's family-friendly Tiguan and our all-electric ID range. Knowing that whatever you choose, it's you who makes it your Volkswagen. Celebrating 75 years in Ireland. Order your new Volkswagen today.
We love better value at Dunnes Stores. Toast to savings with a great selection of red and white wines, like Santa Rita Cabernet Sauvignon and Villa Maria Sauvignon Blanc, now €10 or less. Treat yourself to Tato occasions, 90 to 125 gram range, now half price. Plus, save with the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
Celebrating 50 years, McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles in Buncrana continues to be Donegal's go-to destination for stunning bathroom makeovers. With a vast selection of premium tiles and bathroom products, our showroom is your ultimate one-stop shop for crafting the perfect space. We've earned our reputation through expert advice, unbeatable prices and a dedication to customer satisfaction. Visit our showroom in Cockhill and Buncrana and see why we've been Donegal's top choice for 50 years and counting. Call us at 07493 63050.
Want a new car? Think Kia. Call Heron Auto Donegal Town on 074 9722 555. We're excited to offer a fantastic selection of self-charge and plug-in hybrid cars, along with petrol and electric cars. With finance rates starting from an incredible 0% APR and a 7-year warranty, you can drive away today with peace of mind. Call Heron Auto to find your perfect vehicle and experience our commitment to excellence. Drive with confidence. Drive with Heron Auto Donegal Town.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our new season special occasion wear range is here. Visit us to explore our extensive dress collection in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
All right, lost the round myself there in that last chat. Time-wise, my apologies. We're going to see an increase in showers as the afternoon wears on. They're going to be more widespread across our beautiful region, and they will be heavy at times. There is a chance of hail. How big a chance, I don't know. Temperatures 7 to 10 degrees. Clear spells and just isolated showers early tonight. However, outbreaks of squally rain will spread from the southwest later, turning to sleet on some hills. And it's going to be chilly enough tonight, 0 to +3 degrees. And that, unfortunately, is where we have to leave it today. Thank you very much to all of you who listened to the show, watched the show, text in, called in. We really, really appreciate it. And we're going to come back and do it all again tomorrow morning at 9. So that's it.